Chapter 211, Transaction, Utilizing the Body Sect. The Body Sect's main hall was vast and magnificent today. Deep within the hall, 11 seats remained, yet they were not filled, only 3 figures sat high above. The titled Douluo of the Body Sect were not always gathered here, everyone had their own affairs to attend to. Guided by Shui Mo, Lingya stepped into the hall, his footsteps echoing clearly against the mirror-like obsidian floor. His gaze swept calmly over the 3 giant chairs, which seemed to be carved from single pieces of dragon bone, and the figures seated upon them. The one in the center did not have an extremely burly physique, yet he gave off an unshakable feeling, like the foundation of a mountain. He sat there casually, yet his qi and blood energy were boundless. Without needing an introduction, Lingya knew this must be the continent-shaking body Douluo, Sect Master Dubusi. To his left sat a man with an extremely robust build, his muscles knotted to a degree that even surpassed Sect Master Dubusi beside him, his skin shimmering with a faint dark gold luster. He must be the Vice Sect Master, the golden body Douluo, Jin Peng. To the right was a beautiful woman, whose style was completely different from the other 2. She was small and slight, wrapped in a simple gray robe, wearing a pair of glasses. Her eyes, however, were as clear and deep as a 10,000-year-cold pool, as if they could pierce through all the secrets of a person's heart. This must be the divine brain Douluo Yunyi, known in the Body Sect for her wisdom. 3 Super Douluo, such a lineup to receive him alone was giving him plenty of face. Lingya stepped forward a few paces, bowing neither servilely nor overbearingly. Junior Lingya pays respects to the body Douluo, and to the 2 seniors. He deliberately blurred the titles for Jin Peng and Divine Brain Douluo Yunyi, using only senior to address them. This showed respect while avoiding the awkwardness of potentially getting their titles wrong, as he had only guessed their identities and was not entirely certain. You were the Ice Sky titled Douluo. Sect Master Dubusi's booming voice echoed through the hall, skipping all pleasantries. Lingya, you have no connection with my body sect. Why have you gone to such trouble to find us today? Speak plainly. This big man was as straightforward as ever. Lingya straightened up, meeting Sect Master Dubusi's extremely oppressive gaze, his voice clear and steady. Junior has come to make a trade with your esteemed sect. I wish to sell you a piece of intelligence regarding someone your sect has coveted for a long time, yuhao. If handled correctly, your sect may have the opportunity to smoothly invite him back to the sect. Oh, Sect Master Dubusi's thick eyebrows raised, and his body leaned slightly forward, clearly piqued by interest. Yuhao, that child who possessed the top-tier body martial soul, the spiritual eyes, had always been a regret in his heart. If not for the existence of that old guy Elder Mu back then, he would have forcibly taken him away from Shrek Academy. Now that Elder Mu was dead and Shrek's deterrent power was greatly reduced, this thought had become active again. He could tell that Yuhao's spiritual eyes were by no means an ordinary eye-type spirit. Within their body sect, there was a spirit master named Ji Yutong who possessed the same body martial soul, eyes. His spirit was the pure eye, while Yuhao's was likely not just a simple eye, but a top-tier mental-type body martial soul connected to the brain, with potential even exceeding Vena's brain spirit. Although their body sect was very powerful now, they still lacked the strongest successor for the future. His disciple Long Aocean and Divine Brain Douluo Yunyi's disciple Vena were both decent, especially Long Aocean, whose cultivation speed was almost not inferior to his own back in the day. Unfortunately, Long Aocean's spirit was only skin, not a body martial soul. This spirit limited his upper limit. He might not be able to achieve a golden level awakening in the future, and he likely wouldn't reach the level of himself and his brother, Sect Master Dubusi. As for Yuhao, with twin spirits, the strongest body martial soul combined with an ultimate attribute spirit, he was simply a child of luck. Bringing him back and slowly winning his heart, he would surely become the pillar of the body sect in the future. Speak. Sect Master Dubusi's voice lowered a few notches, carrying a scrutinizing tone. Lingya shook his head slightly. Body Douluo, since this is a trade, there must naturally be a buyer and a seller. I have provided the intelligence, shouldn't your esteemed sect also show some sincerity? What do you want? This time it was Jin Peng who spoke, his voice like the clashing of gold and iron, carrying a hint of impatience. Lingya turned his gaze to him and said frankly, very simple. If the operation is successful, Huo Yuhao belongs to your sect. However, all the storage spirit tools on his person, as well as all the spirit tools, blueprints, and materials within them, must belong to me. He added an explanation, I am a soul engineer, and I am very interested in those things. The silent divine brain Douluo Yunyi had a flash of realization in her eyes, and her aged voice rang out slowly. So that's it. The ice sky titled Douluo has his eyes on the spirit tool techniques that child might have brought back from the Sun Moon Empire, but fears the risk of attacking Shrek, so you want to borrow the power of our body sect to pull chestnuts from the fire for you. A clever scheme indeed. Ling Ya's expression remained unchanged. Senior sees clearly, but this is not a one-sided utilization. If my intelligence is accurate, its value to your sect is far beyond a few spirit tools. This is a win-win transaction. Whether to agree or not is entirely up to the sect master and the seniors to decide. HMPH, mere spirit tools, just external objects. Sect Master Debussy waved his large hand, his tone carrying the body sect's consistent disdain for spirit tools. If the intelligence is true and can help our sect welcome that child back, take all those iron lumps if you want. My body sect keeps its word. Lingya felt reassured, the young lord's grasp of the body sect's mindset was indeed precise. The body sect could be said to be the sect that looked down on spirit tools the most in the world. If he asked them for spirit bones, they would hesitate, but spirit tools, they wouldn't care at all. The sect master is straightforward. This junior trusts the reputation of the body sect. Lingya did not hesitate anymore and spoke immediately. As far as I know, in about 2 months, Huo Yuhao's exchange study at the Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy will be coming to an end. The agreed handover location for both sides is Maple Leaf City on the border of the Heavenly Soul Empire. At that time, the force Shrek Academy sends to receive him will certainly not be too strong, with at most 1 or 2 titled Douluo accompanying him. This will be the best time for your sect to make a move. A fierce light erupted in Sect Master Debussy's eyes, like a torch lit in the dark night. Maple Leaf City, within the Heavenly Soul Empire. The time, location, and the opponent's general strength were all there. If the intelligence was correct, this was indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. With the strength of the body sect and careful planning, the probability of success was extremely high. He naturally did not know that the intelligence provided by Lingya, or rather, the intelligence provided by Dai Yuang behind Lingya, was like carefully pruned branches, presenting only the parts he wanted him to see. Behind that approaching Shrek team, there were even deeper tentacles of the Holy Spirit cult hidden in the darkness. But even if the body sect held them accountable later, it wouldn't matter. After all, how could they have known in advance about the movements of those evil soul masters? The intelligence provided by Lingya was, in itself, completely true and authentic. As for the subsequent accidents, what did that have to do with them, who came to make a transaction in good faith? Sect Master Debussy slammed his huge palm onto the armrest, causing the entire hall to hum. Good. This matter, our body sect accepts. As for the specific details, I still need to discuss them with the elders. Mr. Lingya, you may stay at the body sect for now. Since senior has spoken, how dare this junior disobey? Lingya bowed, lowering his eyes to hide the deep light that flashed within them. The chessboard had been set, and the fish was taking the bait. The rest was just to watch the show, the snipe and the clam fight, while the fisherman reaps the profit. Chapter 212, Heart to Heart, Cold and Hot. In Maple Leaf City, Dai Yuang had already been staying there with Nana for nearly 2 months. Finally, the day had arrived for Shrek Academy and the Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy to exchange their students back. Still in the same inn as before, Dai Yuang watched from above as both sides completed the handover in the plaza below. However, this time, his entire aura was completely restrained, even Yan Shaoj could not detect him at all. Both sides exchanged their respective students, the Red Dust siblings from Sun Moon, and Huo Yuhao and Hiketu from Shrek. Before leaving, Mirror Scarlet Dust gave Huo Yuhao something and whispered something in his ear. Dai Yuang knew that it was a starlight sapphire ring, and inside it was packed with treasures. Mirror Scarlet Dust used this as a transaction to exchange for some of Huo Yuhao's ingenious ideas combining Tang sect hidden weapons and spirit tools, but he could not possibly let so many treasures actually be brought back to Shrek by Huo Yuhao. In fact, he did not intend to let Huo Yuhao return to Shrek. With such strong talent, and having learned so much of the essence of spirit tools from their Minged Hall, letting him go back to strengthen Shrek would be equivalent to aiding the enemy, wouldn't it? Therefore, he had already secretly contacted an evil soul master to help and ambush Huo Yuhao halfway. Huo Yuhao had actually anticipated this, so he suggested that he, Yan Shaoj, and Qian Liner leave separately instead of following the main group, so as not to implicate others. Yuang, the phantom of the Snow Empress, quietly appeared beside him, her ice blue eyes looking down at the slightly immature youth who already carried so much. When you were at Shrek, this child at least sincerely called you brother a few times. Now that you are plotting against him like this, do you have even a trace of hesitation in your heart? Dai Yuang's gaze did not shift in the slightest, his voice so plain that no emotion could be detected. He called me brother, and then what? Has he ever given me even half a shred of tangible benefit? There was none in the past, and in the future, there will be none. Since there is no conflict of interest, there is no sentiment to speak of. Why should I care about him? He scoffed at the almost foolish investment behavior of his predecessor. Huo Yuhao, this person, had a top-tier spirit, yet his actions were often swayed by emotions, impulsive and reckless, repeatedly placing himself and the many souls within his body in danger without regard. Even if there were a day when he truly became a god, given his heart nature, he would likely only have eyes for his little Wutong, just like in the original story. As for his former classmates, comrades, and teachers, when had one ever seen him give back much after becoming a god? Investing in him was no different from pinning one's hopes on a reflection in the mirror or the moon in the water. You were truly as profit-oriented as ever. The Snow Empress shook her head gently, her tone impossible to tell if it was praise or a sigh. She shifted the topic slightly and asked the question that had lingered in her heart for a long time, then, what about Shujuju? In the past, she did not care how Dai Yuang treated Shujuju, but since experiencing 4 years of being together like husband and wife in a dream, and even having little Shui, the soul bond that condensed love and expectation, the Snow Empress's state of mind was already different from the past. Dai Yuang's attitude toward that Star Luo princess concerned how she should position that woman in the future. Shujuju. Dai Yuang seemed to ponder for a moment before saying indifferently, she might indeed have some genuine feelings for me now. But these feelings, in her heart, will never weigh more than the Shu family imperial power. If one day, my ambition conflicts with her stance, and she needs to choose between imperial power and me, she will choose the former without hesitation. He turned his head to look at the woman beside him whose soul was made of ice and snow, a faint but real warmth rippling in his eyes. By the same token, her weight in my heart will never compare to you. If the day truly comes where I must choose one of the two, my choice will only be you. Perhaps one day, she and I will stand in opposition due to this irreconcilable contradiction. Yuang, there is no need to worry or struggle over this. The Snow Empress's voice was cold and firm, carrying the unique domineering and decisiveness of the Supreme of the Extreme North. If you still have feelings for her, I have my own ways to resolve this contradiction. If you are determined to cut ties, then I will do it for you. Hearing this, Dai Yuang let out a low laugh and raised his hand to stroke the Snow Empress's hair, which seemed to be made of ice crystals. Although he could not touch a physical entity, his movements carried an indescribable tenderness. Shuiye, the one who is struggling, is actually you. His voice was indifferent, and he said nonchalantly, how I will treat her in the future never depends on me, but on her own choices. Once these words were spoken, the Snow Empress understood instantly. Dai Yuang had never truly placed Shujuju in a position on the scale of interests in his heart that was worth struggling over. Shujuju's life or death and future depended only on whether she would choose to be an enemy of Dai Yuang. If she didn't block his way, she could live. If she blocked his way, this man would absolutely show no mercy. You guy, you really are cold enough. The Snow Empress couldn't help but lightly spit, though her tone held little reproach, but rather a hint of complex understanding. I am the Snow Empress's man, naturally I should be cold. Dai Yuang raised an eyebrow, his tone suddenly carrying a hint of playfulness. However, cold is relative. Beside you, am I not very hot? Feel it, my body temperature is much higher than yours. The Snow Empress's phantom figure suddenly stiffened. The supreme of the extreme north ice plains had actually been frozen by this unexpected cold joke, causing her to shiver. Yet a warmth quietly spread from the deepest part of her heart. The heat he spoke of was a double entendre, it was not just heat in body temperature. Only when facing her did his heart have true temperature, rather than being profit-oriented. How was this not a unique confession to her? Just in this subtle atmosphere where cold and warmth were intertwined, Nana, who was standing quietly to the side, suddenly spoke up and pointed out the window. Young lord, look, they are moving. Dai Yuang remained composed, his gaze sweeping over the few figures moving below, and he said indifferently, no need to rush, Nana. To cover their tracks and distance themselves from the main group, they will definitely not fly at first, but will only walk away. It won't be too late for us to set off in half an hour. After flirting with the Snow Empress in his heart for another half an hour, and Nana reminding him once more, they finally set off. 3 figures left the inn silently, like 3 wisps of green smoke, merging into the bustling streets of Maple Leaf City, and then immediately dashed out of the city at a speed far exceeding common sense, speeding toward the southeast. Everything was just as Dai Yuang had expected. Dozens of miles ahead of them, above a desolate valley, the sky had already changed drastically. The originally clear sky was shrouded by a suddenly appearing pitch-black dark cloud. The clouds rolled and condensed, turning into a hideous giant tiger head outline, and scarlet light flickered in those hollow eye sockets. A thick voice, like rolling thunder, vibrated from the depths of the dark clouds, carrying a powerful and evil aura. Yan Shaoj. Do you still recognize this old man? Chapter 213, Martial God Douluo vs. Scorpion Tiger Douluo. Below the valley, Yan Shaoj was dressed in white, his figure as straight as a pine. He tilted his head slightly, his eyes sharp as knives, narrowing into 2 dangerous slits. A pure and scorching aura of light radiated from his body, forming a stark contrast with the evil clouds in the sky. I wondered who it was. So it's you, this scorpion tiger that luckily escaped death. Yan Shaojia's voice was clear yet carried a cold mockery. Scorpion tiger Douluo Zhongpeng, after surviving for so many years, you suddenly pop up in front of me today. Are you tired of living, and came specifically to beg me to send you off? Yan Shaoj, stop your arrogant talk. The voice from the dark clouds roared like thunder, and the enormous tiger head seemed to come alive, letting out a heaven-shaking roar. The roiling black clouds suddenly converged, condensing into the figure of a tall, thin, and sinister-looking old man. He wore a black robe, with a nauseating, sinister aura binding his body, and behind him, a massive phantom of his spirit suddenly appeared. It was a giant tiger as black as ink, massive in size, with muscle lines full of explosive power, exposed fangs, and an exceptionally ferocious nature. However, the most eye-catching feature was the organ behind it that was not a tiger's tail, a terrifyingly hideous scorpion tail. The tail hook was raised high, shimmering with a deep, deadly blue-purple light, looking extremely dangerous. This was the top-tier evil spirit, the scorpion tiger. It possessed both the strength of a tiger and the cunning of a scorpion, fierce, overbearing, and unpredictably strange. HMPH. Enough nonsense. If you want to fight, then fight. Compared to Yan Shaoj, Dean Qian Liner had a fiery temper that ignited at the slightest provocation, and she could not be bothered to waste breath arguing with scorpion tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. Green light erupted from her body, and 9 spirit rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black, instantly rose up, like a brilliant galaxy surrounding her. A set of sleek, sharp-looking green armor instantly covered her entire body, making her look like a mortal female war god. The green flame spear in her hand shook, its tip pointing directly at the massive tiger head transformed by scorpion tiger Douluo Zhongpeng, emitting a deafening, sharp whistle. Martial god Douluo Dean Qian Liner. The dark cloud tiger head transformed by Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng made a surprised sound. Why are you still hanging around with that hypocrite Yan Shaoj? His words were full of disdain and contempt for Yan Shaoj. He had clearly heard that the two had long since parted ways. None of your business. Die. Dean Qian Liner hated it when others mentioned her past with Yan Shaoj. Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng's words were undoubtedly adding fuel to the fire. She let out a sharp cry and thrust the green flame spear in her hand forward violently. A loud, high-pitched dragon roar that seemed to tear through the clouds erupted from the tip of the spear. In an instant, the violent green flames coiled around it like a living creature, turning the entire spear into a roaring green flame dragon, carrying a terrifying momentum capable of piercing through everything, slamming fiercely into that dark, sky-covering black tiger head. Wherever the green flames passed, the thick, inseparable evil clouds melted away in large swaths, like snow meeting the scorching sun. Dean Qian Liner's angry strike had completely suppressed Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng in terms of aura, taking the upper hand. In terms of absolute spirit power rank, Dean Qian Liner was indeed significantly inferior to the rank 96 Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. But she was not only a spirit master, but also a top-tier soul engineer. The weapon in her hand was an 8th-level melee spirit tool armor developed by the Academy for her, which perfectly matched the characteristics of her green flame dragon spirit, elevating her attack power and speed to an extremely terrifying level, enough to make up for the gap in spirit power rank and confront a super Douluo head-on. Not a bad attack, worthy of being Shrek's flying female martial god. Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng's voice carried a hint of solemnity and admiration. The clouds filling the sky suddenly converged, condensing back into that thin, gloomy, black-masked real body. He hovered in the air, his body surrounded by a chilling evil aura. Dean Qian Liner pointed her spear at him from afar and angrily questioned, Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. You actually dare to reappear in the world? Have you forgotten how Elder Mu spared your dog life back then? Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng said in a deep voice, I naturally remember. Elder Mu let me go once, and I promised not to appear in the world during his lifetime. I kept my word, and now that he has passed away, the promise is naturally terminated. I want to return to the continent. Who can stop me? Dean Qian Liner, considering that you and Yan Shaoj are regarded as Elder Mu's successors, I will not make things difficult for you. Leave that boy behind, and you can roll away now. I will absolutely not stop you. Arrogant. Dean Qian Liner's willow eyebrows stood up, her anger burning even hotter. Today it is not about whether you let us go or not, but that we will never spare you. Elder Mu gave you a chance to reform back then, but you didn't know how to cherish it, instead falling completely into the evil path, colluding with the Sun Moon Empire, and betraying the Douluo continent. Since that is the case, leave your evil bones here forever. Bullshit, I don't know anything about the Sun Moon Empire. Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng seemed to have been poked in a sore spot and retorted sharply, I came here today only for that boy. Since you insist on seeking death, I will fulfill your wish. Before the words had even faded, his figure flickered, turning into a ghostly black line, rushing straight at Dean Qian Liner. The two-titled Douluo instantly clashed again, green flames and black fog colliding crazily, the terrifying spirit power shockwaves plowing the valley into a mess, with rumbling noises echoing incessantly. Fortunately, this place was remote, otherwise, who knows how many innocent people would have been affected. Yan Shaoj did not immediately join the battle. His expression was solemn, his gaze like lightning, constantly scanning the surrounding shadows. He knew clearly that the evil soul master would never send just one Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng to intercept the two of them. There must be other experts lurking on the side, watching like a tiger. Once he left Huo Yuhao's side, the poisonous snake in the shadows would launch a fatal strike. With Huo Yuhao's current strength, facing a sneak attack from a titled Douluo, there was absolutely no possibility of survival. The battle in the air became increasingly intense. Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng had been fighting for a long time without success and finally used his real ability. His seventh spirit ring flared with black light, Scorpion Tiger True Body. His body expanded and grew larger, his skin covered with pitch black, oily tiger-striped coarse hair, his hands turned into sharp claws, and the scorpion tail hook behind him became increasingly hideous and huge, shimmering with a deadly, eerie light. The terrifying spirit power of a super Douluo was released without reservation. The evil pressure instantly doubled, completely suppressing Din Qian liner's green flames. Immediately following that, the 8th spirit ring flashed suddenly. 8th spirit ability, 12 beast envoys. Roar, howl, woo. Accompanied by countless shrill and violent beast roars, 12 incredibly solid spirit beast phantoms emerged from behind Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. Each one radiated a fierce aura comparable to the spirit Douluo level. They were all different in form, all formed by the souls of powerful spirit beasts being forcibly captured and refined, with scarlet light dancing in their eyes, completely controlled by Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. What was even more terrifying was that around these main beast souls, there were dense, countless ordinary beast souls circling and flying, emitting heart-wrenching wails. Once the main beast souls were attacked or damaged, they could instantly absorb these ordinary beast souls to replenish themselves, making them almost impossible to be completely destroyed. To maintain this evil and powerful spirit ability, Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng had destroyed countless spirit beast lives. The current Scorpion Tiger Douluo was no longer the same as when he was let go by Elder Mu. He had completely sunk into the evil path, his hands stained with blood, becoming a true evil soul master. 12 main beast souls comparable to Spirit Douluo, plus a full-strength Super Douluo, simultaneously pounced on Din Qian liner. 13 against 1. Even with the support of her spirit tool, Din Qian liner instantly fell into an absolute disadvantage. She brandished the green flame dragon spear, green flames dancing wildly, dragon roars sounding incessantly, each swing able to deflect several beast souls, and even leaving burn marks on the dark demon Scorpion Tiger. But the beast souls were endless and fearless, and Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng's main body was even more cunning and fierce, with the scorpion tail launching tricky sneak attacks. She was struggling, in constant danger, and defeat seemed to be only a matter of time. Yan Shaoj saw this in his eyes and felt anxious in his heart. Din Qian liner's situation was critical, and he wished he could fly to help her immediately. But the threat in the shadows was like the sword of Damocles, hanging high above, making him dare not move a single bit. He guarded Huo Yuhao and Hikadu tightly, his spirit stretched to the limit. Suddenly, he turned his head violently, his sharp, phoenix-like gaze shooting toward a twisted shadow to his rear, and he shouted coldly, "Since you are here, why hide your head and show your tail? Get out!" His shout was like a thunderclap, echoing in the valley, instantly overpowering the noise of the battlefield. Chapter 214 The Appearance of the True Form Douluo and the Dragon Emperor Douluo. Just as Yan Shaojia's voice fell, a suffocating pressure crashed down from two directions like a tangible tsunami. Just as Yan Shaojia's voice fell, a suffocating pressure crashed down from two directions like a tangible tsunami. In front, a dark green light soared into the sky, its violent aura tearing through the clouds. Sect Master Dubusi's figure, as sturdy as a mountain, stood proudly in the void realm. He looked around and let out a deafening laugh, ha ha ha. What a rare sight. Shrek's hypocrites and the evil soul masters from the gutters have actually gathered together today. Good, very good. His laughter rolled like thunder, carrying the savage and overbearing power unique to a body martial soul, diluting the pervasive evil aura somewhat. Behind Yan Shaoj, another form of extreme pressure descended silently. It was not as ostentatious and wild as Sect Master Dubusi's, but it was deeper and more terrifying. A tall old man floated silently in midair. His face was as rosy as an infant's, his silver hair was meticulously groomed, his long, snow-white eyebrows hung down to his cheeks, and his hands were casually clasped behind his back. He did not release a shred of spirit power fluctuation, yet it was impossible to see through him at all. Yan Shaojia's heart sank to the bottom of the valley instantly. Sect Master Dubusi's appearance was already an unexpected disaster, but the mysterious old man behind him made him feel a cold tremor from the depths of his soul. With his cultivation as a level 95 Super Douluo, the existences in this world whose depths he could not perceive were few and far between. Every single one of them was a legend capable of shaking the Douluo continent. The silver-haired old man swept his gaze across the scene with indifference, finally landing on Sect Master Dubusi. His voice was steady but carried a trace of the vicissitudes of time. Old freakdu, I didn't expect your old bones to still be holding together. Back then, your brother Dubusi insisted on competing with Elder Mu and ended up dead. Today, you reappear here. Do you think that because Elder Mu is gone, there is no one left to send you on your way to reunite with him? Upon hearing this, Sect Master Dubusi's pupils shrank, and the arrogance on his face vanished instantly, replaced by extreme gravity and disbelief. He stared fixedly at the old man, his throat feeling a bit dry. Could you be that old ghost? Seeing Sect Master Dubusi and Yan Shaoj acting as if facing a formidable enemy, the silver-haired old man nodded slightly, a smile of memory and melancholy appearing on his face. In the mountains, there is no count of years, but on Earth, a millennium has passed. Having not appeared in the world for many years, old friends have withered away, and acquaintances have mostly scattered. Even Elder Mu has left before me. It is truly a pity. He sighed softly, the sigh containing complex and indescribable emotions, nostalgia, regret, and a trace of imperceptible loneliness. His gaze turned to Yan Shaoj, becoming calm and waveless. I have broken my rule to come out of the mountains today because I wanted to see if the successor chosen by Elder Mu has truly inherited his mantle. Remember well, I am Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. These 3 words were like 3 thunderclaps from the 9 heavens, striking heavily into the hearts of Yan Shaoj and Sect Master Dubusi. Yan Shaoja's body shook violently, the blood draining from his face instantly, and he blurted out, Dragon Emperor Douluo. You are still alive. Sect Master Dubusi also gasped, the surging dark green light around him fluctuating unsteadily, and he exclaimed, Dark Sacred Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. You old freak, you're actually not dead yet. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Dragon God. Douluo Elder Mu. These were the legendary black and white holy dragons who had once illuminated an era, representing the 2 ultimate peaks of light and darkness for dragon-type martial souls. Their power had long since surpassed the scope of ordinary titled Douluo, becoming the symbols of an era. Everyone in the world thought this dark sacred dragon had long been buried by time. Who could have imagined that he would reappear in the world here, in such a manner? What made Yan Shaoja's heart churn even more was why such a legendary senior, who should have been a model of the righteous path and both a rival and friend to his teacher, would appear together with an evil soul master like Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. Yan Shaoj forcibly suppressed the raging waves in his heart, took a deep breath, straightened his robes, and bowed extremely respectfully to Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Junior Yan Shaoj pays respects to Senior Long. I truly never thought that I would be able to see your esteemed face in my lifetime. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao looked at Yan Shaoj, a faint trace of memory and complexity flashing in his eyes. He sighed softly, the sound of the sigh seeming to traverse 100 years of time. It is that I dared not, and had no face to see Elder Mu. In this life, I have failed him greatly. If not for sensing that he had indeed passed away, I might still be ending my remaining days in that dark and sunless place. He is gone, and only now do I regret it too late. In the end, I lack even the courage to apologize in person and admit my mistakes. Sigh. This long sigh told of endless regret and the heaviness of a past that one could not bear to look back upon. Yan Shaoja's heart stirred, and he caught a hint of something unusual. He spoke cautiously, Senior Long, Junior has heard teacher mention that you and he were close friends. Although your spirits were different, one light and one dark, you were both paragons of righteousness in the human world. But today, you are. His gaze swept meaningfully toward Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng in the distance. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao shook his head, cutting off Yan Shaoja's words, a bitter smile appearing on his face. Elder Mu truly did not tell you the details of the past events even until his death. He was preserving the last shred of my dignity. Enough, the past is gone, and there is no use in saying more. His expression returned to calmness, but it carried an unquestionable decisiveness. Today, for the sake of Elder Mu, I can spare your lives. Sect Master Debussy, the same goes for you, withdraw now, and we will have no trouble between us. Although Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao's words were light, they carried an air of looking down upon the world. While he seemed casual about Sect Master Debussy, he did not underestimate him in his heart. A body martial soul is completely different from an ordinary spirit. He did not care about an ordinary second awakening, but even he had to be wary of the highest level, the gold level awakening. Sect Master Debussy's level 98 cultivation, combined with that legendary gold level awakening's desperate measures, once fully unleashed, even though he was a level 99 limit Douluo, he would not win easily, and the cost was certainly not one he was willing to bear. Upon hearing this, Yan Xiaojia's heart tightened, and he hurriedly said, "Senior Long, you are an expert of the world, of high virtue and prestige. Do you really intend to disregard your status and do such a thing as the big bullying the small?" At this moment, he could only pin his hopes on this legendary figure still retaining the last shred of a senior's integrity and demeanor. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao cast his gaze toward Huo Yuhao and said indifferently, "Entrusted by others, I must be loyal to the task. The debts I owe must be repaid. Today, I have no other requests. Let that child hand over the ring in his hand, and you may leave on your own." Because of Sect Master Debussy's presence, Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao did not think about making some three-move agreement with Huo Yuhao to test his strength. After all, he could not truly harm Elder Emu's disciple, so finding a step for them to leave was enough. HMPH. However, just as Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao's voice fell, a cold snort containing monstrous anger and disdain rang out like a thunderclap. The dark green light around Sect Master Debussy suddenly surged, like a green sun, forcing that dark aura back several meters. He took a step forward and said, "Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao, you are taking too little account of our body sect, and of me, Sect Master Debussy. Huo Yuhao is someone my body sect must obtain, and the thing in his hand is also the property of my sect. You want to lay a finger on it? Ask my fists if they agree first." Sect Master Debussy's attitude toward the black and white holy dragons was completely different. Toward Elder Mu, he had hatred for killing his brother, but mixed within that hatred was a trace of respect for a powerful expert. But toward Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao, what filled his heart at this moment was entirely contempt and disdain. As for Elder Mu, regardless of his character, at least his stance was not a problem. He was a person of Shrek, and he stood on Shrek's side for his entire life. But what about Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao? He came from the Heavenly Soul Empire. In his youth, he had been cultivated by the Empire's Academy and had even represented the Heavenly Soul Empire to dominate the Spirit Master Tournament, winning supreme glory. To say the Heavenly Soul Empire poured all its efforts into cultivating him might be an exaggeration, but to say they provided the grace of enlightenment and a platform for him was absolutely not an overstatement. Yet after he achieved success and fame, he drifted away. Unconcerned with the rise and fall of the nation, this was already forgetting his roots. Now, he even associated with evil beings like Scorpion Tiger Douluo. Yan Xiaoj had just said that this Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng was instigated by Mirror Scarlet Dust of Mingde Hall, and Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao arriving with him made his stance self-evident. It was almost equivalent to aiding the tyrant, standing on the opposite side of the original three countries of the Douluo continent. The blood from that tragic war against the Sun-Moon Empire thousands of years ago had not yet dried. In the eyes of Sect Master Debussy, such conduct was simply treason and defecting to the enemy, an unforgivable crime. Toward Elder Mu, he could fight or retreat, that was a matter of stance and personal grievances. Toward Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao, he only had contempt and the determination to fight to the end. Let him compromise with such a person. Absolutely impossible. Chapter 215, The Muddied Waters, a battle between Super Douluo and Limit Douluo. In the shadows, relying on a special cultivation technique to restrain his entire aura, Dai Yuang, who was difficult even for a Limit Douluo to easily detect, watched Sect Master Debussy like this and thought to himself, this Sect Master Debussy, regardless of his character, has a firm stance. As the Sect Master of the Heavenly Soul Empire's protector sect, Sect Master Debussy fought for the Heavenly Soul Empire until his death in the original work. He could be called a hero. Senior Long, Yan Shaoj quickly made his decision. With a flash, he stood in a pincer formation with Sect Master Debussy and Jin Peng, saying in a deep voice, "Today's matter concerns the Shrek legacy and the righteous path of the continent. Please forgive this junior for being unable to comply. Your Excellency Body Sect Master, it seems we must fight side by side today." He weighed the situation instantly. Although Sect Master Debussy also came for Huo Yuhao, it was ultimately an internal matter of the Douluo continent, and while the body sect acted overbearingly, they had their bottom line and principles. On the other hand, Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao had colluded with the evil Soul Master and the Sun Moon Empire, standing completely on the opposite side with absolutely no room for compromise. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao's gaze turned completely cold, like 10,000 years of glacial ice. "Sect Master Debussy, since you insist on seeking death, I will grant your wish." Before the words faded, a terrifying dragon might erupted. The spirit power of a rank 99 limit Douluo swept out like a vast sea of stars, crushing everything in all directions. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 3 black, and 2 red, 9 spirit rings rose slowly from beneath Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao's feet. Especially those last 2 blood-red 100,000-year spirit rings, which emitted a majestic aura that made one's soul tremble. "Ha ha ha, come and fight." Sect Master Debussy showed no fear, his wild laughter shaking the heavens. The fierce aura belonging to a rank 98 peak Douluo erupted fully, and he met the challenge without retreating. His spirit ring configuration was even more shocking. 2 yellow, 2 purple, 2 black, 3 red, a full 300,000-year spirit rings. Although 2 of them were evolved from original spirit rings when his body martial soul completed a high-level second awakening, rather than obtained by directly hunting 100,000-year spirit beasts, the terrifying energy they contained was real and not inferior in the slightest. Jin Peng, the golden body Douluo standing beside Sect Master Debussy, also erupted simultaneously. Brilliant golden light and an indestructible aura soared into the sky. His 9th spirit ring was also a gorgeous red. Although its radiance was slightly inferior to Sect Master Debussy's 3, the 100,000-year pressure was equally shocking, and it was likely also obtained through second awakening. The strength and foundation of the body sects titled Douluo were displayed vividly at this moment. This was the power of the spirit second awakening. Sect Master Debussy, Yan Shaoj, and Jin Peng, 3 super Douluo standing at the pinnacle of the continent, condensed their life's cultivation into one at this moment, transforming into 3 torrents capable of destroying heaven and earth, and lunged fiercely towards the legendary dark sacred dragon. The sky seemed like a fragile piece of cloth, instantly torn apart by the violent energy. The earth trembled violently under the terrifying pressure. The dark green body protective aura was overbearing and savage, the brilliant golden light was indestructible, and the pure radiant phoenix fire burned fiercely. The 3 intertwined, yet together they confronted that bottomless darkness that seemed capable of devouring everything. Jin Peng and Yan Shaoj knew clearly that their power had a qualitative difference compared to the rank 99 Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Jin Peng's golden light covered every inch of his body's muscles, and he shuttled and attacked with unparalleled speed. His golden arms continuously bombarded the darkness, attempting to find a flaw in Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Yan Shaoj pushed his radiant phoenix spirit to the limit. The holy flames transformed into countless scorching arrows and shields, sometimes supporting the fierce attack, sometimes protecting Sect Master Debussy's flank. The 2 of them were like 2 nimble blades circling the main attacking warhammer. The true main force for the assault was none other than Sect Master Debussy, who had pushed his body secret techniques to the limit, every punch and kick causing space itself to distort. However, facing the combined attack of the 3 super Douluo, Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao still appeared calm and composed. His movements seemed slow and elegant, yet he could always resolve Sect Master Debussy's mountain-splitting, rock-shattering onslaught in the most exquisite way at the most critical moment. The dark sacred dragon spirit granted him not only power but also an absolute control over energy and an annihilation characteristic. Unless Sect Master Debussy spared no cost to activate his final trump card, the gold-level body awakening, it would be difficult to truly threaten him. But Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao did not come here today for a fight to the death. He was unwilling to drive Sect Master Dubusi mad and suffer mutual destruction, nor did he have any intention of truly harming Elder Emu's successor. The current situation played right into his hands. It was the perfect excuse to push the responsibility for failing to succeed onto the troublesome body sect. Whether returning to the Holy Spirit cult or Mingde Hall, he would have a legitimate excuse to provide as an explanation. Thus, he cleverly controlled his power. While it appeared he was fighting fiercely with the three of them, in reality, he had formed a delicate balance. The monstrous energy storms were more about creating a grand spectacle than causing true destruction. Looking at the other side of the battlefield, the situation was already precarious. Dean Qian Liner was covered in blue dragon armor, her 8th rank spirit tool long spear dancing like a dragon in her hand. Blue flames burned crazily, yet they were still compressed into an increasingly smaller circle. Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng's Scorpion Tiger spirit was sinister and strange. The strangely shaped long sword transformed from the scorpion tail hook carried black gas that corroded spirit power, and every collision caused Dean Qian Liner's blue flames to dim by a fraction. 12 powerful beast souls howled and circled, continuously charging and biting, consuming her spirit power and mental energy. The chasm between an ordinary titled Douluo and a rank 96 super Douluo could not be easily bridged by just an 8th rank spirit tool. Her blue flame dragon spirit was not an ultimate attribute, nor did it have the ability of a body martial soul to undergo second awakening. It did not have an advantage in spirit quality. At this moment, her hair was disheveled, her breathing rapid, and the blue light of her armor had clearly dimmed. Defeat, or even death, seemed to be only a matter of time. This was the water Dai Yuang had muddied, the scene had completely descended into chaos. Dean Huo Yuhao's eyes turned blood red as he watched, anxious to the extreme. His spirit power surged within him, and he was about to rush up to help regardless of the consequences. However, right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A cold, viscous, resentment-filled black aura erupted without warning from the shadows beneath his feet, like countless venomous snakes, instantly wrapping around his limbs and bones. Huo Yuhao only felt his whole body stiffen, his spirit power circulation suddenly blocked, and he couldn't even move a finger, let alone release a spirit ability. What is this ghost thing? Huo Yuhao roared in horror in his heart. It is a highly sophisticated ghost manipulation technique. The caster's true body is not here, but is controlling it remotely. Electrolux's aged and grave voice immediately sounded in his mental sea. But the trouble is not this ghost technique, but the mental force attached to it. It is powerful and condensed, filled with the pressure of a titled Douluo level. It seems the evil soul master still has a backup plan. Because Huo Yuhao did not obtain the Snow Empress embryo, Electrolux had escaped a disaster and was still doing fine to this day. Moreover, last time when cultivating on the ice bed of the Clear Sky sect, Tianmeng and Ice Empress had gained quite a few benefits and were currently both in deep sleep. However, Electrolux had misunderstood one thing, thinking the newcomer was also a person from the Holy Spirit cult. In fact, the person who made the move was Nana, but she did not appear directly. Her spirit was special and allowed her ghost to leave her body. She was currently sitting on a distant cliff, remotely controlling her ghost. Although she did not appear, with her power, controlling Huo Yuhao, who was currently only rank 50, was still effortless. Electrolux's necromancy was indeed the nemesis of such spirit abilities. If he made a move, breaking the ghost control would not be difficult. But at this moment, Huo Yuhao's own mental sea was like a stream compared to the distant controller's ocean. His mental force was very strong, but not to the point where he could rival a titled Douluo at rank 50. Electrolux had divine skills but lacked sufficient power to drive the resolution of the situation. This was what is called a clever housewife cannot cook without rice. Chapter 216, Profiting from Chaos. Just as Huo Yuhao struggled in vain and Dean Qian Liner appeared to be in dire straits, a wave of freezing cold suddenly descended. Crackle, crackle. With Huo Yuhao as the center, a layer of deep blue ice instantly solidified on the ground for dozens of meters around, and the black silk-like qi binding him also paused. A figure appeared quietly at his side, accompanied by flying ice crystals. The newcomer was shrouded in cold air, with eyes as sharp as an eagle's. It was Lingyao. Huo Yuhao. Lingyao's voice was calm, yet it cut directly through the din of the battlefield and reached Huo Yuhao's ears. I am the ice sky titled Douluo, Lingyao. How about a deal? Hand over that star blue sapphire and the ring in your hand, and I will step in to save your dean and ensure you leave this place safely today. Another titled Douluo. Huo Yuhao was deeply shocked. In a single day, witnessing so many peak experts fighting in such chaos had far exceeded his imagination. He recognized Lingyao and knew this was an expert with close ties to the Star Luo Empire, not a mortal enemy like the evil Soul Masters or the Sun Moon Empire. The ring. It was for this ring again. Star Luo, Sun Moon, Evil Soul Masters, Body Sect, Shrek. The continent's top 5 powers had actually gathered and clashed here because of it. The weight of this ring felt so heavy right now that he could barely breathe. Yuhao, there is no other way now. Give him the items, Electrolux's voice transmitted from within the soul of sea. Huo Yuhao said stubbornly, no, the star blue sapphire and the things inside the ring are extremely precious. I would rather crush them, leaving everyone with nothing, or even perish together with these guys, than. No matter how precious things are, they are insignificant compared to life, Electrolux lectured. Everyone only has one life, and that is the most valuable thing. I have taught you to hold life in awe. Someone who thinks of giving up their life at every turn can never become a peerless expert. Besides, is yours the only life that matters here? What about your dean, that female teacher, and Tianmeng and Ice Empress? Do you want them all to die with you? Huo Yuhao shuddered violently. Elder Yi's words were like morning bells and evening drums, waking his heart, which had almost been lost to anxiety and unwillingness. That's right, compared to the burdens he carried, what were the treasures in the ring worth? He hesitated for a long while, but finally, a flash of determination crossed his eyes. Using all the strength his bound body could muster, he threw the sapphire and the ring toward Lingyao. Ice Sky titled Douluo, here are the items. I hope you keep your promise. Lingyao reached out and caught the sapphire and the ring, which contained earth-shattering wealth, and tucked them into his robe without even looking at them. At the same time, he flicked his finger, and a gust of extremely cold energy shot precisely into the black qi surrounding Huo Yuhao. Sizzle. As if a red-hot iron had met a block of ice, the viscous black silk-like qi let out a shrill shriek, instantly disintegrated, and vanished without a trace. Nana, who was remotely controlling things from the cliff far away, understood immediately the moment Lingyao acted. She quietly cut off her spirit power connection and retracted her ghost, as if it had never appeared. After all, she and Lingyao were on the same side, why would they oppose each other? This chaotic situation was even instigated by their master. One can only profit from chaos, this was a famous saying from the ancients. Huo Yuhao suddenly felt his body lighten, the control was completely gone. Lingyao, without hesitation, flickered his body, turning into an icy blue stream of light that tore through the sky. Carrying a sky full of coldness, he charged straight toward the precarious battle circle between Dean Qian Liner and Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. Rest assured. In the air, only his indifferent yet reliable voice remained. Your teacher will be fine. Lingyao's cold air surged, and it seemed as if 10,000-year-old ice crystals were condensing in his eyes. Before coming, he had already taken the Snow Soul condensing ice pill. The medicinal power surged within him, endowing his ice attribute spirit power with extreme frigidity and purity. With every wave of his hand, countless sharp ice prisms, shimmering with absolute zero cold light, condensed in the air and whistled toward Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. These were no longer ordinary ice, but ultimate ice capable of freezing spirit power. Dean Qian Liner, who had been struggling under Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng's violent attacks, suddenly felt the pressure lighten. She keenly seized this excellent opportunity. Her wind attribute spirit fueled the fire, and the cyan flame dragon spear erupted with a resounding dragon roar. The scorching cyan flames and Lingyao's ultimate ice formed a strange complementarity and pincer attack. One ice, one fire, two diametrically opposed yet equally powerful forces instantly turned the tide of the battle. Although Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng's Scorpion Tiger spirit was eerie and powerful, facing both a titled Douluo equipped with an 8th rank spirit tool and a titled Douluo possessing ultimate ice simultaneously, he immediately appeared stretched thin. His dark spirit power was constantly frozen and eroded by the ultimate ice, and his movements became increasingly sluggish. Within a dozen rounds, an ice lock seized the opportunity to bind his ankle. The extreme cold instantly invaded, causing his body to pause. In this fleeting moment of vulnerability, Dean Qian Liner's dragon spear struck like a venomous dragon, slamming heavily onto his protective spirit power. PFF'd, Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backward, clearly having suffered a significant internal injury. Meanwhile, the peak duel on the other side suddenly escalated due to new variables. On the horizon, a rough golden light streaked over like a meteor, its violent aura even stirring the clouds for several miles around. A bull's roar, filled with anger, shook the heavens and the earth. The next moment, the massive true body of the gluttonous god cow, emitting a terrifying aura that seemed to devour everything, charged fiercely into the battle circle. It was none other than the top combat power of Shrek Academy's Sea Gods Pavilion, the rank 98 Super Douluo, Xunji. Xunji's arrival instantly tilted the balance of the battlefield. He didn't waste any words, his massive cow hoof, carrying the immense force of collapsing mountains and splitting the earth, trampled directly toward Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Facing another peak Douluo, even one as strong as Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao dared not hold anything back. Dark light surged in his eyes, and endless dark energy frantically condensed before him, eventually transforming into a massive, roaring, churning black dragon. Carrying a terrifying aura of annihilation, it charged fiercely toward Xunji and Sect Master Dubusi. Boom! In the aftermath of such a high-level clash, Jinpeng and Yan Xiaoj were like small boats in a storm, forced to fly backward, their blood and qi churning. Only Sect Master Dubusi and Xunji roared simultaneously. Sect Master Dubusi's fist condensed the body sect's great power capable of shattering stars, while Xunji's gluttonous giant hoof contained the wild and domineering energy capable of devouring heaven and earth. From left and right, they struck the head of the black dragon simultaneously. An earth-shattering explosion resounded through the sky. At the center where the three extreme forces collided, space seemed to collapse, forming a brief black hole. In the end, the energies annihilated each other, resulting in a draw. Just then, the disheveled Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng was forced back by the combined efforts of Lingya and Dean Qian Liner, retreating right to the side of Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. Holding his wound, his eyes were filled with unwillingness and resentment, and he still wanted to fight. Chapter 217, Shrek's Dissatisfaction and the Aftermath Plan. Enough, retreat. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao's voice returned to its previous indifference, yet it carried an unquestionable command. His deep gaze swept across the four Super Douluo, eyeing them covetously from the opposite side, as well as the two titled Douluo in prime condition. His tone was indifferent. The enemy's experts have gathered. If we continue to fight, I may not be able to protect you. Upon hearing this, Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng finally snapped out of his anger. Looking at the lineup opposite, which was so luxurious it was despair-inducing, all his unwillingness turned into cold sweat. He gritted his teeth and whispered, "Yes." Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao said nothing more. Darkness surged around his body, enveloping Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. The two transformed into a streak of dark light and vanished into the horizon in an instant. Xunji and the others did not pursue. Everyone knew clearly that forcing Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao to retreat and killing Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao were two completely different concepts. The price required for the latter was something no one could bear. Being able to repel this powerful evil soul master reinforcement and protect yuhao was already the best outcome. Everyone landed on the ground one after another. Yuhao immediately stepped forward and detailed the events, how he had been controlled by a strange ghost, and how Lingya had appeared and offered to help on the condition of obtaining the ring. Upon hearing this, the expressions of Xunji, Yan Xiaoj, and the others became somewhat complicated. They were fearful that the evil soul master still had such an insidious backup plan, and relieved that Huo Yuhao and Dean Qian Liner were unharmed, but at the same time, they were quite displeased with Ling Ya's behavior of taking advantage of a crisis to demand an exorbitant reward. Yan Shaoj stepped forward and said to Ling Ya in a deep voice, "Your Excellency Bingkong, Shrek will keep your assistance in mind. However, that starlight sapphire ring belongs to a disciple of our academy and is of great importance. We ask that your excellency return it, and Shrek will surely provide other generous rewards." Before Ling Ya could answer, Sect Master Dubusi's rough voice rang out, carrying undisguised mockery, HMPH. Shrek's skin is truly thicker than the 100,000-year-old tree bark in the Stardo Great Forest. If Ling Ya hadn't intervened just now, your precious disciple would have been kidnapped and chopped to pieces long ago, and it's hard to say if Dean Qian Liner would have survived. Paying money for goods is only right and proper. The transaction is complete, and now you want to go back on your word. Is this what you Shrek people call keeping it in mind? It truly opens my eyes. Sect Master Dubusi stared at Zhanzi and the others with his copper bell-like eyes. He had previously promised Ling Ya that as long as the information provided was accurate, he would help him seize this spirit tool storage device. Facts proved that his information was correct. If the evil soul master hadn't suddenly appeared, he would have snatched Huo Yuhao away before Zhanzi arrived. But how could Ling Ya have known the evil soul master would suddenly appear? Sect Master Dubusi understood that this matter could not be blamed on Ling Ya. He had always been a man of his word and would never break a promise. Since Ling Ya had already obtained the item, how could he let someone snatch it back? He was determined to handle this matter today. With him backing Ling Ya, would Shrek dare to openly rob him? Sect Master Dubusi's words were resounding and forceful, occupying the moral high ground. Zhanzi and Yan Shaoj were immediately speechless. Sect Master Dubusi was powerful, and the body sect was even harder to provoke. Starting a war at this moment was definitely unwise. Moreover, Ling Ya had indeed fulfilled his promise and saved Dean Qian Liner and Huo Yuhao. Going back on the agreement to reclaim the reward was unreasonable and unjustifiable. If this were spread, the 10,000-year reputation of Shrek Academy would surely be tarnished. Zhanzi's face turned livid, and finally, he let out a heavy snort, suppressing the anger in his heart. He took a deep look at the ring in Ling Ya's hand, then glanced at the unyielding sect master Dubusi, knowing that nothing could be done today. "Let's go." Zhanzi waved his hand and said nothing more. He led the Shrek group into the air, turning into several streaks of light and leaving rapidly. However, they would not let the matter of that ring rest. In fact, they still had one doubt: how did Ling Ya and Sect Master Dubusi know they would appear here today? This intelligence was too well informed. However, they did not ask further, because they knew that even if they asked, the other party would not say. Every faction's source of intelligence could be said to be their greatest secret. Intelligence is a weapon, that saying is not just empty talk. Seeing the Shrek group leave, Sect Master Dubusi also withdrew his aura. He looked at Ling Ya and nodded, considering his promise fulfilled. He was quite depressed in his heart that he had failed to capture Huo Yuhao in this operation. His battle with Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao had consumed a lot, while Zhanzi had been waiting for them to tire out. Continuing to entangle would be meaningless. Even though he, Sect Master Dubusi, was stronger than Zhanzi, he dared not say he could defeat him while his spirit power was heavily depleted. As for activating the Golden Awakening to fight to the death, that required sacrificing lifespan, and Sect Master Dubusi did not want to shorten his life for Huo Yuhao. "Kid, as long as you got the item, that's good. See you later," Sect Master Dubusi said to Ling Ya, then immediately transformed into two dark green streaks of light with Jin Peng, disappearing into the horizon. In the wilderness, in the blink of an eye, only Ling Ya remained. A cold wind blew, kicking up dust, as if the earth-shattering multi-party melee that had just occurred had never happened. He lowered his head and looked at the ring in his hand. With a flash of light, he put it away, and his figure quietly vanished into the cold wind. In the deep forest, the light was dappled. Lingya reunited with Dai Yuang and Nana, who had been waiting there for a long time, and immediately handed the spoils to Dai Yuang. "Well done, Lingya." A look of approval appeared on Dai Yuang's face. Without the slightest hesitation, he tossed the starlight sapphire and the storage ring back to Lingya, while simultaneously handing over another spirit tool storage device that was ancient in style and clearly had a larger capacity. "Now, immediately check the things inside this ring." Dai Yuang's instruction was clear and decisive: transfer all the top-tier spirit tool materials related to core technology, especially those rare metals and core arrays that we cannot produce ourselves or are extremely difficult to obtain, into our own spirit tool. There should also be a big guy inside that starlight sapphire. A sharp light flashed in his eyes, something with a complex structure and astonishing power, similar to a humanoid mecha. "If it's there, you must study it carefully, Lingya. If you can master its technology, the day you take revenge on the Xuanming sect with your own hands will not be far off." Actually, Dai Yuang didn't know if it was there either. After all, the body sect hadn't attacked Mingde Hall. Huo Yuhao might not have obtained that humanoid spirit tool. It depended on whether Huo Yuhao's protagonist halo had activated. If not, it didn't matter, the harvest of other items was already large enough. Lingya took the spirit tool, and upon hearing Dai Yuang's words, a look of confusion appeared on his resolute face. "Young lord, do you mean, we should sort out the items inside?" He vaguely sensed that Dai Yuang did not seem to intend to keep the entire ring for himself, but rather to make some trade-offs. "That's right." Dai Yuang smiled slightly, a smile filled with calculation and composure. "The items in this ring are crucial to Shrek Academy, they are the cornerstone of their Soul Tool department's future development. They will never give them up easily. And you, Lingya, are ostensibly a guest elder of the Star Luo Empire's Princess Mansion." He paced a step and continued to analyze. "Shrek will inevitably pressure the Star Luo Empire afterward, forcing Emperor Shu Jiawei to return the ring. However, this is exactly what I want." He looked at Lingya, his eyes flashing with the light of a long-planned scheme. "I need you to act in a play with me. A play about demanding a reward for a favor, ultimately being forced by circumstances to share the spoils with the Star Luo royal family." Dai Yuang lowered his voice and quickly and clearly explained his conceived follow-up plan to Lingya and Nana. How to utilize the information gap, how to guide public opinion, and how to make Shrek suffer a loss silently without being able to complain. Every link was calculated perfectly. A look of realization and admiration appeared in Lingya's eyes, and finally, he nodded heavily. "This subordinate understands and will certainly not fail the young lord's trust." With the plan set, the three of them did not delay any longer and immediately set off to return. On the way, inside Dai Yuang's mental sea, the Snow Empress's cold voice, tinged with a hint of confusion, rang out. "Yuang, since the item is already in hand, this plan of the snipe and the clam fight, the fisherman gains, can be considered a success. This should meet Thea sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor." Assessment of the god of sloth, right? Why has the god of sloth's divine trial not had any reaction yet? Dai Yuang responded in his heart, his tone calm. "The things we obtained are indeed precious, enough to make any faction jealous. But Snow Empress, you must know that these spirit tool technologies and materials can certainly greatly enhance our faction's foundation and help Lingya with his revenge, but for me personally, they are more like tools and external forces. They cannot be directly converted into a breakthrough in my own cultivation or realm. Therefore, the divine trial has not deemed me to have truly completed it." He changed the subject, the corners of his mouth curling into an arc of being in full control. "But it doesn't matter. This time was just an appetizer. Soon, there will be an even greater opportunity, and that time, Huo Yuhao, this child of luck, will personally lead it to us. If utilized well, his massive luck will be enough to help us leverage even more things. That will be the moment of truly winning while lying down." His gaze seemed to penetrate the layers of dense forest, looking toward the unknown distance, where his next stage, carefully woven by him, awaited. Chapter 218, Return Trip, the Star Luo Royal Family's Apprehension. Dai Yuang, Lingya, and Nana immediately returned to Star Luo City. They had to rush back before Shrek made its move so that many of their plans could be implemented. Of course, Dai Yuang did not choose to enter the city with the two of them. The three had already separated in the dense forest outside the city, like water droplets merging into a river, silently blending into the crowds moving in different directions. He first returned to the princess mansion, only to be respectfully informed by the guards at the gate that Princess Juju was currently in the imperial palace, discussing urgent state affairs with Emperor Shu Jiawei. Dai Yuang's eyes flickered, and without hesitation, he turned and headed toward the imperial palace. The imperial city was heavily guarded, but no one blocked the son of the White Tiger Duke, whom the emperor himself had decreed could seek an audience at any time. The announcement passed layer by layer deep into the palace, and soon, the heavy palace doors were pushed open by the attendants. Inside the magnificent side hall for discussions, the candles were bright, illuminating the mountains of memorials stacked high. Emperor Shu Jiawei was holding a brush to review them, his brows furrowed with the contemplation befitting an emperor. Below him, Shu Juju was holding a document and speaking softly, her delicate brows slightly furrowed, focused and serious. However, when that familiar, slender figure appeared at the hall entrance, Shu Juju's voice came to an abrupt halt. The document in her hand slipped silently, fluttering onto the polished floor. All her dignity and composure crumbled at that moment. The longing accumulated over 2 years was like a bursting flood, instantly washing away all the princess's restraint. She even forgot that her imperial brother was right beside her, and forgot that this was the solemn and majestic imperial palace. Her eyes held only the person she had missed for so long. Her skirt flared as she practically ran across the hall. Yuang! A cry, carrying endless grievance and joy, slammed heavily into Dai Yuang's chest. This dignified princess was experiencing the taste of longing for the first time. After all, she had been separated from her beloved for 2 years. At least for this moment, Shu Juju's emotions were pure and intense. Deep within Dai Yuang's soul, in that spiritual home constructed of ice and snow, the phantom of the Snow Empress quietly solidified. Her stunningly beautiful face was covered in frost that had not melted for 10,000 years, and her eyes, clear as ice crystals, quietly watched the two embracing in the outside world. Then she turned her head slightly away. Even the king of the far north could get jealous, after all. On the throne, Emperor Shu Jiawei took in the entire scene of his sister losing her composure. A complex and obscure look flashed quickly through his eyes. There was pity for his sister, but more so, a deep, calculating scrutiny. He put down his imperial brush and coughed lightly. The sound was not loud, but it perfectly shattered the tender atmosphere that had almost frozen in the hall. Ahem! Shu Juju jolted awake, springing away from Dai Yuang's embrace like a startled fawn. Her pretty face was a deep crimson that spread to her fair neck, and she was too shy to even raise her head. She subconsciously straightened her slightly disheveled clothes and hair, her fingers trembling slightly, but her other hand still instinctively gripped the corner of Dai Yuang's clothes. Dai Yuang stepped forward and said, "Greetings, Your Majesty." Emperor Shu Jiawei's gaze passed over his sister and landed on Dai Yuang. The gaze remained gentle but carried the insight unique to an emperor that could pierce through a person's heart. "Yuang, it has been 2 years since we last met. It seems you have gained much from this trip. Although cultivation in the mountain forests is arduous, it can temper one's will. I wonder what realm your cultivation has reached now. I am very curious." Dai Yuang bowed slightly, his posture respectful but not subservient, his tone calm and ripple-free. "Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. I am ashamed. 2 years have passed in a flash, and I have only focused on cultivate without daring to forget. Fortunately, I have had some good luck and made a little progress. A month ago, I luckily achieved a breakthrough to the Spirit Saint realm." Spirit Saint. These 2 simple words exploded in the silent hall like a thunderclap. Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju gasped almost simultaneously, their faces filled with disbelief. Dai Yuang is 19 years old this year, a spirit saint around 20 years old. Since the founding of the Star Luo Empire 10,000 years ago, apart from the original Shrek 7 Devils, such a shocking cultivation speed had never been seen before. This could no longer be described as just a genius, it was practically a prodigy. The shock in Emperor Shu Jiawei's eyes was quickly suppressed, replaced by even deeper inquiry. He leaned forward slightly, his tone still calm but carrying a stern pressure as he said. Oh, such rapid speed. Yuang, you always manage to surprise me. May I take a look? Let me see what kind of powerful spirit ring helped you achieve such a realm. Dai Yuang knew clearly that the configuration of his first spirit could not be hidden, nor was there any need to. He nodded slightly, as you command. As his voice fell, his gaze narrowed slightly. In an instant, a surging fluctuation of spirit power rippled out from him as the center. 3 purple, 2 black, and 2 red spirit rings appeared one after another. When the last 2 spirit rings slowly rose, the air in the entire hall seemed to freeze. The surging sense of power almost materialized, causing the candles in the hall to flicker and dim. Another 100,000-year spirit ring. Exclamations rang out again uncontrollably. Emperor Shu Jiawei stood up abruptly from the throne, his perception was countless times sharper than his sister's. After all, he was not just an emperor, but also a titled Douluo. He clearly captured a trace of genuine threat from that spirit saint level spirit power fluctuation. A spirit saint could actually make him, the supreme of the empire and a titled Douluo, feel threatened. Could it be that Dai Yuang, this spirit saint, already had the strength to challenge a titled Douluo? Unparalleled talent brought unparalleled value, but it also brought unparalleled risks of loss of control and a deep-seated apprehension. Never before had the warning signs in Emperor Shu Jiawei's heart been so strong. If used well, this young man would be the sharpest blade of their Star Luo royal family, but if he could not be firmly controlled, he could also become a major threat to the empire. Emperor Shu Jiawei was apprehensive in his heart, but his face remained calm, and he even displayed a smile that was even gentler and more appreciative than before, clapping his hands in admiration. Good, good, good. Yuang, you are truly a natural-born genius, a genius unprecedented in history. If this continues, the Duke's mansion will surely be yours in the future. I am very gratified, and our Star Luo royal family will surely exhaust all resources to help you reach the pinnacle. Dai Yuang bowed and said, "Thank you for your praise, Your Majesty." He offered a few more gentle words of encouragement, his tone sincere and full of promises, and then seemed to rise very magnanimously, patting Dai Yuang on the shoulder. "Since you have been apart for a long time, I will not take up any more of your time. Ju, accompany Yuang well." He smiled like a brother who was truly happy for his sister. However, the moment he turned to leave and passed by Shu Juju, the smile on his face did not change, but his eyes suddenly became extremely profound, cold, and meaningful. That gaze was like a silent blade, precisely conveying his determination as an emperor. When Shu Juju met that gaze, she couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart, instantly feeling as if she had fallen into an ice cave, and she understood her imperial brother's determination. The Star Crown Pact must be signed, there was no room for negotiation. Chapter 219, Star Crown Pact, Shu Juju's Pua. Her imperial brother leaving at this moment was definitely not an act of negligence, he was likely going to mobilize the experts lurking within the palace to ensure everything was foolproof. If Dai Yuang refused to sign, she almost dared not imagine the consequences. Chaotic thoughts surged into her heart like a tide. Her feelings for Dai Yuang were real, that longing accumulated over 2 years could not be fake. But the responsibility of being an empire princess and the worry for the future of the royal family weighed heavily on her heart, almost suffocating her. Dai Yuang's growth speed was too fast, so fast that it exceeded everyone's expectations and control, so fast that it was terrifying. She believed that he loved her now. But what about the future? When he soared into the sky and his strength surpassed the entire empire, how much of this love would remain? Power would corrupt the firmest of wills, this was a principle her imperial brother had taught her since she was young. Love required courage, while rule required insurance. In the end, the princess's reason and the responsibilities she shouldered completely overwhelmed her personal feelings. She took a deep breath, her nails almost digging into her palms, using the pain to keep herself clear-headed, and made up her mind. Moreover, she tried so hard to comfort herself that the Star Crown Pact itself was harmless to him, as long as he never betrayed her, this pact would be the greatest help, allowing him to share the star crowns, cultivate speed and obtain powerful skills. And she would also give him the only chance in her life to sign the pact, from then on tying her body and heart to him alone. How was this not a deeper commitment and compensation of love? Yes, it was compensation. She tried to use this reason to convince herself, covering up that trace of unease and guilt deep in her heart. Shu Juju took Dai Yuang's hand again, trying hard to make her smile look natural and sweet. Yuang, the palace is very stuffy, let's go back to the princess mansion. I have so much to say to you. All right. Dai Yuang smiled and left the imperial palace with her. In the quiet garden of the princess mansion, the moonlight poured down like mercury, dyeing the meticulously pruned flowers and trees with a layer of hazy radiance. The night breeze brushed past, bringing the fragrant scent of roses and night-blooming jasmine, so sweet and cloying that it almost made one intoxicated. Shu Juju snuggled in Dai Yuang's arms, sitting on a cool jade bench, her voice as soft as sleep, talking, recounting the longing, worries, and various interesting things that had happened in the city over the past 2 years. Her tone was gentle and pleasant, attempting to weave a dense web with tenderness. Dai Yuang listened attentively on the surface, occasionally responding with a few affectionate words, but his powerful mental force had long since spread silently to the entire garden like invisible tentacles. He clearly perceived that in the shadows around the garden, behind the rockery, and among the woods, 4 obscure and powerful auras had quietly appeared at some unknown time, all of them experts at the titled Douluo level. He understood in his heart that Shu Juju must be doing something to him today. In fact, he could roughly guess that it must be some kind of method to prevent him from betraying them in the future. After all, with his current speed of progress, which royal family could be without fear? Guarding against him was the normal way of thinking, otherwise, that royal family would be too naive. In fact, the royal family's methods were nothing more than this. Applying both favor and prestige, using both soft and hard tactics. Taking precautions against possible trouble and keeping all uncontrollable factors firmly in their palm, this was the mindset of those in power. Sure enough, after pouring out her heart, Shu Juju raised her head. The moonlight cast broken diamond-like light spots in her beautiful eyes, and her face carried a moving blush. Her voice was shy but exceptionally firm. Yuang, let me truly belong to you today, okay? Fulfill your long-held wish. But before that, I need a guarantee, an emotional guarantee that can make me completely at ease. I will entrust myself to you completely, but I also need you to give me an equal commitment. Dai Yuang followed the flow, his gaze gentle, gently caressing Shu Juju's cheek, his fingertips warm. Princess Juju. As long as it is what you want, I can give you anything. My life has long been yours. Why would I need any guarantee? As a scumbag who came through transmigration from the modern era, his sweet nothings were readily available, so sincere that it was impossible to doubt them. This unhesitating response made the last trace of guilt in Shu Juju's heart vanish, transforming into a heart full of joy and emotion that was almost overflowing. She smiled sweetly, revealing a stunningly beautiful smile. Then she slowly rose from Dai Yuang's arms, stepped back, and her expression became solemn and sacred. The brilliant star crown martial soul emerged from above her head, gorgeous and intricate. As she concentrated all her spirit power, the core master gem in the very center of the star crown began to emit intense light. Starlight slowly precipitated from within, finally detaching from the star crown and turning into a small, exquisite red gem containing vast stellar energy. It rotated slowly as if it were alive, suspended in the void realm between the two, becoming the most dazzling existence in the night. This is the star core gem transformed from my star crown origin power. Shu Juju's voice was ethereal and misty, carrying a sense of sanctity. Yuang, open your mind, guide your spirit, and gently accept it, absorb it. From now on, your abyssal demon tiger will receive the blessing of the stars, able to draw upon the power of the 9 heavens starlight to assist in cultivate, achieving twice the result with half the effort. It will even be like obtaining a top-grade spirit bone, awakening a powerful starlight skill for you. This is the best gift I can give you, it is a part of me. Dai Yuang revealed just the right amount of surprise and confusion. It sounds like this magnificent gem, this gift of the stars seems to be all benefits for me. Juju, what kind of guarantee is this? It feels more like I am greedily stealing a priceless treasure from you. Shujuju's expression became incomparably serious, even carrying a hint of determination. She had to tell the truth, this was the iron rule for the establishment of the Star Crown Pact. There could be no deception, both parties had to be completely voluntary. No, Yuang, things are not that simple. Once the pact is established, your life origin will be closely connected to my star crown, never to be separated again. From now on, I will control your life and death, your survival will depend on a single thought of mine. If you fail me in the future, or fail the Star Luo Shu family, with a mere thought, I can let the stars extinguish your life fire and let your body dissipate into starlight. Her voice trembled slightly, but she tried to maintain her composure. This is for our future, Yuang, for a future where we can be together forever without any barriers. You can understand my helplessness, right? After finishing, she seemed to have exhausted all her strength and threw herself into his arms again, her tone softening, carrying pleading and even temptation. After signing the pact, if you do not leave or abandon me, I will surely depend on you in life and death, never failing you for eternity. Outside, I am the Star Luo princess, inside, I am only your Juju, your obedient wife. Yuang, believe me, this is just so we can be together forever, without any suspicion or betrayal. A cold light flashed in Dai Yuang's eyes, she wanted to turn him into a loyal dog for the Shu family. What a Shu Juju. Yuang, don't. Within the mental sea, the Snow Empress's voice carried unprecedented anxiety and anger. How is this different from that yin-yang reversal fate lotus seed pill? Signing it means handing your lifeline completely into someone else's hands, becoming a loyal dog for the Shu family for all eternity. She keeps saying she loves you, but she is actually weaving a cage with affection. This is Pua. The Snow Empress and Dai Yuang had lived in the modern world in their dreams for 4 years. They hadn't learned anything else, but they had learned these internet terms quite well. Chapter 220, The Princess's Devotion. Facing Snow Empress's worry and impatience, Dai Yuang's response was unusually calm, even carrying a trace of icy, playful mockery. Shuiye, calm down. Don't worry. This thing sounds scary, but in reality, it is far less overbearing than our lotus seed pill. Not to mention that the position of this pact happens to be in the exact same location as my divine seal, and I can annihilate it through the divine seal at any time. Even if I keep it for now, it can at most control my physical body's life and death, but it cannot constrain my soul and will, let alone distort my thoughts. Furthermore, have you forgotten one of our greatest trump cards? The ability you bestowed upon me is enough to turn any form of life pact into a joke. Even if she really wanted to kill me in the future, it would be nothing more than a prank. This seemingly unbreakable Star Crown Pact is, to me, merely a formality. Snow Empress paused, instantly realizing the truth. A look of relief and wry amusement flashed across her frozen face. That's right. I was anxious for a moment and forgot that you not only have the divine seal but also that trump card you've never used. This pact is indeed no threat to you. Outside, the cold calculation in Dai Yuang's eyes had long since melted into a deep affection capable of making any woman fall for him. He gently lifted Shu Juju's face, wiping away the tear that had seeped from the corner of her eye due to nervousness and guilt with his fingertips. His voice was gentle yet firm, as if making an eternal vow. Juju, my love. For you, let alone this Star Crown Pact, even if you wanted my heart to beat out of my chest for you right now, I would not hesitate in the slightest. As his words fell, he moved his mind, and the ferocious and majestic phantom of the abyssal demon tiger appeared behind him, emitting a low but docile roar. Its deep maw opened, not to devour, but as if welcoming a returning wanderer, gently taking the star core gemstone containing the power of the pact and control into its mouth. The moment the gemstone merged with the tiger phantom, it felt like it had melted into a warm current, dissolving silently within it. In an instant, an invisible yet incredibly solid bond was forged between them. Shu Juju clearly felt that supreme sense of control, as if Dai Yuang's life fire was already dancing at her fingertips. The solid feeling of having everything under control finally allowed her hanging heart to settle completely. Immense joy and complex emotions mixed with guilt filled her heart. At this moment, the Star Crown Pact was complete. She hugged Dai Yuang tightly, burying her burning cheeks in his chest. Her voice was muffled but filled with relief and joy. Yuang, now, I completely belong to you. And you belong to me forever. Dai Yuang hugged her back, stroking her hair with an infinitely gentle smile, yet the depths of his eyes were a bottomless cold pool, reflecting no light at all. Yes, Juju, we will never be separated from each other again. After signing the Star Crown Pact, Shu Juju and Dai Yuang became even closer. She no longer needed to worry about anything. She knew that from now on, this man was someone she could trust for the rest of her life. Yuang, take me. I will fulfill my promise and give myself completely to you. The guilt in Shu Juju's heart remained. She wanted to give herself away completely, not just because she liked Dai Yuang, but also to let the guilt in her heart dissipate. Dai Yuang picked up Shu Juju and walked toward the room. Inside the mental sea, Snow Empress felt a bit stifled, so she simply closed off all her perception of the outside world. She had predicted that such a moment would come sooner or later, because she knew that Dai Yuang was a person who valued interests above all else, and obtaining Shu Juju would be helpful to his future plans. Meanwhile, on the star observation platform, Emperor Shu Jiawei also received the reply from the 4 returning titled Douluo. Dai Yuang had already signed the Star Crown Pact with Shu Juju. Emperor Shu Jiawei was immediately satisfied. In this way, this person with the greatest potential in the future was destined to be the sharpest weapon of their Shu family. Nebula Douluo Manyi informed Emperor Shu Jiawei that Dai Yuang had carried Shu Juju back to their room. Emperor Shu Jiawei was stunned. Shu Juju was his younger sister whom he had raised since she was a child. Although she was called his younger sister, she was actually like a daughter to him. He suddenly felt the displeasure of the family's little cabbage being rooted up by a pig. But he didn't dwell on it. The Star Crown Pact had been signed, so these two could be considered deeply bound from now on. It was only a matter of time before they had a relationship. Besides, they were adults, so let them be. Emperor Shu Jiawei understood his sister very well. Shu Juju offering herself to Dai Yuang at this time was also to make up for the guilt in her heart. The lights flickered, the lights in the princess's boudoir stayed on all night, and the sounds rose and fell without stopping. At noon the next day, the 2 sleeping people slowly woke up. A jade arm hooked around Dai Yuang's neck, and Shu Juju pouted coquettishly, "You guy, you wore me out. You didn't even know how to cherish me a little. That's all because Her Highness the Princess is too charming. Since the first time we met, I've been craving you for over a decade, and it's not like you don't know that." Dai Yuang laughed. Hearing that her beloved had loved her for so long, Shu Juju also felt a burst of sweetness in her heart. Because the Star Crown Pact was signed, she no longer had any barriers with Dai Yuang. She gently pecked his face with her red lips. "All right, it was my fault before, ignoring your love. From now on, I will slowly compensate you. By the way, after obtaining my Star Core Gemstone, what Starlight skill did you acquire? Star Introduction Technique, or Star Protection? Neither. It's an attack spirit ability called Starlight Extinction." Dai Yuang said. Attack System, Group Attack Spirit Ability. Dai Yuang felt the effect of this move. It could burst countless deep purple starlight rays from his body like deathly auroras, shooting toward every enemy around. These rays were not pure light, their core was deep darkness, wrapped in brilliant yet destructive starlight. It was actually a bit like the White Tiger meteor shower, but both in terms of attack power and attack range, it was on a completely different level. According to Dai Yuang's estimation, it was probably equivalent to a 50,000-year spirit bone skill. Not bad. Dai Yuang was currently lacking a powerful group physical attack skill. Starlight Extinction, I know this skill. My grandfather possesses this skill. Shu Juju said. Your grandfather? Dai Yuang asked. Is he, the current high priest of the Star Luo Offering Hall? In the original work, the person with the highest rank to appear in the Star Luo Empire was Medicine Immortal Douluo Wang Shaner, but it was mentioned that Wang Shaner was only the Vice Hall Master. So, Star Luo must have a stronger main Hall Master. Yes, he is not only my grandfather but also the current sect master of the Star Crown sect, a rank 97 starlight Douluo, our Shu family's guardian deity. If there is a chance, I will take you to see him. Shu Juju leaned softly into Dai Yuang's arms. They were now husband and wife in all but name, and they had even signed the Star Crown Pact, so naturally, they had to go see the elders of the family. The Star Crown sect was an ancient sect of the Star Luo Empire that had existed since the Spirit Hull era and had continued for 10,000 years. It was also the true root of the Shu family. Chapter 221, Satisfied Parties, Try Dying Once. Inside the bedchamber, the last wisp of calming sandalwood in the gilded censer had burned out, leaving only faint ash and the lingering, ambiguous warmth in the air. Sunlight filtered through the carved window lattice, casting bright spots on the carpet, where fine dust motes could be clearly seen floating leisurely in the beams of light. Dai Yuang held Shu Juju's smooth shoulders, his fingertips unconsciously stroking her waterfall-like golden hair. The two snuggled under the silk quilt, whispering in low voices. From the major national events of the past 2 years to vague aspirations for the future, Shu Juju's voice carried a rare, coquettish laziness and dependency, a stark contrast to the dignified and decisive princess she was on ordinary days. Suddenly, as if remembering something, Dai Yuang looked up at the sun hanging high outside the window, his voice gently interrupting the soft murmurs of the person in his arms. Juju, looking at the time, it must be nearly noon. Are you not going to the imperial palace to assist His Majesty with state affairs today? Noon. It's noon. Upon hearing this, Shu Juju sat up abruptly from his arms as if struck by lightning, the silky quilt sliding down to reveal a large expanse of snow-white skin. The lazy blush on her pretty face was instantly replaced by panic. Indulging in passion last night and lingering in this rare intimacy this morning, she had completely thrown her heavy political duties to the back of her mind. What made her cheeks burn even more was that her imperial brother, Emperor Shu Jiawei, hadn't even sent anyone to urge her. The implication was self-evident: he must have known about her affair with Yuang and perhaps even tacitly approved of it all. At the thought of this, Shu Juju felt a wave of shame rush to her head, even her delicate earlobes tinged with crimson. Yuang, it's all your fault, this time I've been killed by you. She glared at Dai Yuang with feigned annoyance, but her eyes were shy and timid, lacking any deterrence and instead adding to her charm. She hurriedly scrambled off the bed, enduring the slight discomfort and soreness in a certain part of her body, and walked quickly to the clothes rack. Dai Yuang leaned against the head of the bed, watching her hurried back with a smile. Shu Juju quickly summoned her personal maid, and after freshening up, she changed into a gorgeous court dress symbolizing her royal status. The complicated, layered skirt, the exquisitely embroidered patterns, and the small yet dazzling star crown headpiece quickly rearmed her back into that noble and peerless Star Luo princess. After tidying up, she walked to the bedside and planted a gentle kiss on Dai Yuang's lips, her tone returning to its usual gentleness but with an added touch of intimacy. Yuang, I'm going to handle state affairs first. Rest well, and carefully feel the changes after the star core gem's fusion with your spirit. If there is any discomfort or anything strange, you must tell me immediately. All right, don't worry. Dai Yuang returned a gentle smile, his gaze lingering as if it could melt a person. Only then did Shu Juju feel at ease, turning and walking out with steps as dignified and steady as she could manage. However, her body, having just experienced intimacy for the first time, was inevitably uncomfortable, and her gait was slightly slower and stiffer than usual, the subtle swaying revealing her strain. The door of the bedchamber was gently closed, cutting off the light and sounds from the outside. Almost the moment the door closed, the gentle-as-water smile on Dai Yuang's face faded like the tide, disappearing without a trace. In its place was a cold and mocking curve that quietly crept up the corners of his mouth. There was no longer any affection in his deep eyes, only an indifference that saw through everything and a hint of mockery. Star Crown Pact, he whispered to himself, as if savoring an incredibly ridiculous joke. You think you can completely control me like this and make me the sharpest blade and most loyal dog of your Shu family? With a flash of ghostly light, the Snow Empress's illusory and stunning figure quietly appeared by the bed, her body exuding a cold chill that seemed to lower the room's temperature. She crossed her arms, her ice blue eyes slanting at Dai Yuang, her tone carrying obvious displeasure and jealousy. "Did you have a good time last night?" Dai Yuang didn't care at all, instead lazily lying back down, hands behind his head, crossing his legs, looking like a rogue. "Something delivered to my door, it would be a waste not to eat. It has some flavor, but to abandon it wouldn't be a pity either. It's just a mechanical task, how could it compare to 1/10,000th of your charm, Snow Empress?" "HMPH. You smooth-talking scum." The Snow Empress snorted, the surrounding cold air becoming heavier, but the anger in her eyes dissipated slightly. "Stop spouting nonsense. When exactly do you plan to solve this Star Crown Pact? I sense that your original sin Divine Seal is rejecting it. If you are willing, you can use the Divine Seal to erase it at any time. Do you really want to keep such a hidden danger? Solve it." "Why solve it?" A mysterious smile curled on Dai Yuang's lips. "I suddenly feel that this might be an excellent opportunity. Don't you always say I like to hide behind the scenes? This time, we'll play an even bigger game." He paused, calculation flashing in his eyes. Dying once might bring unexpected benefits. "Besides, I almost forgot, in this chess game, besides Dai Yuang and me, there is another pawn the Dai family has forgotten, Dai Luoli." The Snow Empress was sharp and immediately understood his intention. "You mean, Dai Luoli? You want to use a substitute? To be precise, it's a golden cicada shedding its shell, a secret crossing of the river." Dai Yuang shook his feet comfortably, as if he were not talking about a shocking conspiracy, but a leisurely afternoon pastime. "I am an ambitious person who prioritizes interests. I use emotions and manipulate hearts without burden, so I am certainly not a good person." His tone suddenly became somewhat ethereal, carrying a rare moment of self-reflection. "But I am not a bloodthirsty madman. Even if I want to control Star Luo in the future, I don't want to rely on slaughter to force the world to submit. A name that isn't righteous makes words unconvincing. How could someone as concerned about face as me allow such a stain in history? Sometimes, death can provide the perfect name, both to wash away the past and to pave the way for the future." Most importantly, he looked at the Snow Empress, his gaze returning to its previous sharpness. "It allows us to disappear completely from the open, to observe better and plan more calmly. This time, I will just borrow this thing to let Shu Juju kill me. Anyway, I've done most of the things I wanted to use the Shu family for. The direct line of the Dai family is already declining, and my branch has obtained the inheritance rights of the Dai family. Leaving the rest to Luo Li is fine, giving him a lotus seed pill is enough. As for my own strength, it is already comparable to a titled Douluo, no longer needing the resources of the Shu family for cultivation. I can find a way to create a misunderstanding and give her a reason to kill me. After I die, I will have someone clear up the misunderstanding." She has gradually developed a love brain regarding the Douluo continent's legacy. By then, I will add fuel to the fire. The guilt and regret of mistakenly killing a loved one will make her wish she were dead. With this guilt, there are still many ways to use this Shu Juju. It's not just Shu Juju, I also have a good idea of how to create this misunderstanding, which could also trap another faction. I really hope my next divine trial happens to be that person. That would be killing many birds with one stone." Dai Yuang laughed insidiously, giving the Snow Empress goosebumps. In fact, the idea he mentioned was the upcoming Ming City incident. He was a contradictory person in some respects. He could watch others slaughter innocent people with indifference and not be the hero who saves them. For example, Huo Yuhao bombing Ming City, he had absolutely no intention of managing that matter. It didn't matter how many people died, as long as it wasn't his people. What did it have to do with him? He even wanted to use this event to stir up trouble. But he would never personally bomb Ming City. Simply put, he was the type of cold person who, although he wouldn't slaughter the world himself, would stand by and watch others slaughter innocent people if there was no benefit in it for him. Just as Dai Yuang and the Snow Empress were secretly planning, Shu Juju had endured the subtle discomfort of her body and arrived outside the imperial study. She took a deep breath, suppressing all her shyness and panic, and restored her usual calm demeanor before signaling the attendant to announce her. "Greetings, royal brother." Entering the study, Shu Juju bowed gracefully to Emperor Shu Jiawei, who was reviewing memorials. Emperor Shu Jiawei looked up from the pile of memorials, seeing his sister's appearance, which was clearly carefully dressed but couldn't hide a trace of fatigue, and a knowing smile appeared on his face as he teased, "Is my imperial sister here? It seems you've gotten your wish. Congratulations." Shu Juju's face flushed red instantly, like a ripe peach. She tried to remain calm and retorted, "Royal brother, please don't tease me. I should be the one congratulating you. From now on, there is no need to worry about Yuang anymore." Ha 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 ha. Emperor Shu Jiawei was in an excellent mood and laughed out loud. Well said. With the Star Crown packed, what else does this emperor have to worry about? Juju, you did very well. As long as Dai Yuang never has two hearts, he will be the most precious horse of my star Luo, the future White Tiger Duke. If he can help me achieve the great cause of unifying the continent one day, it wouldn't be impossible for me to grant him a hereditary White Tiger Prince title. On behalf of Yuang, I thank you for your grace, royal brother. Shu Juju's heart was full of joy and yearning. She seemed to have already seen the glorious future where Dai Yuang reached the pinnacle of power and stood side by side with her overlooking the world. She had absolute confidence in Dai Yuang's ability and firmly believed that he was worthy of this generous reward. Inside the imperial study, the siblings looked at each other and smiled, a harmonious atmosphere with the overall situation settled. However, this harmonious atmosphere was soon broken. An attendant hurried in, knelt down, and respectfully reported, "Reporting to Your Majesty and Your Highness, the Ice Sky titled Douluo Lingya is outside asking to see you, and it seems there is an urgent matter to report." Chapter 222, Lingya's Mission, Seeking Asylum. Lingya. Shu Juju was slightly stunned, her delicate brows knitting together. He suddenly disappeared some time ago, and now he has suddenly returned, and is so urgently requesting an audience. Imperial brother, what do you think? Emperor Shu Jiawei's smile faded slightly. He tapped his fingers gently on the table and pondered, "Although this Ice Sky titled Douluo is temporarily residing in your princess mansion, he has never formally accepted the position of a Star Luo advisor, and his movements are unpredictable. I have always harbored some doubts about him. However," he paused, "he is a titled Douluo after all, so he cannot be negligent. Summon him in and let us hear what news he has brought." Understood. The attendant acknowledged the order and quickly exited. Before long, Lingya, covered in the dust of travel and with a grave expression, strode into the imperial study. He merely bowed slightly to Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju, counting it as a salute. The arrogance of a titled Douluo was fully displayed. "Ice Sky titled Douluo, it has been many days. Have you been well?" Emperor Shu Jiawei put on a formulaic smile again and raised his hand in a gesture of welcome. "I do not know why Your Excellency is so eager to see me." Lingya stood straight, his gaze sweeping over Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju. His voice was solemn as he went straight to the point, "Your Majesty, Your Highness. My departure from Star Luo this time to travel was not without purpose. Recently, within the borders of the Heavenly Soul Empire, I inadvertently caught wind of a secret, which led to me being drawn into a shocking incident. I have come specifically to report this." His words immediately captured the full attention of Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju. Lingya paused slightly, as if organizing his thoughts, before recounting a thrilling experience. From how he accidentally learned the specific time and route of the exchange. Students between the Sun Moon Royal Soul Engineer Academy and Shrek Academy, how he became greedy for the precious materials Huo Yuhao brought out from Mingde Hall, which might contain core technology for high-level spirit tools, knowing he couldn't handle it alone, how he took a risk and secretly contacted the body sect, who had long-standing friction with Shrek and were equally determined to capture Huo Yuhao, who possessed a body martial soul, to propose cooperation. However, none of us expected, Lingya's voice suddenly became grave, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Just as we intercepted the Shrek team at the preset location outside Maple Leaf City, and Sect Master Debussy of the body sect arrived in person to forcibly take Huo Yuhao away, a sudden change occurred. He described in detail the situation with the evil soul masters, especially the sudden appearance of the powerful scorpion tiger Douluo Zhongpeng. And the most shocking part, the arrival of a legendary figure who should have long since passed away, Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao. The situation instantly spiraled out of control. Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao's strength was heaven-defying, and Sect Master Dubusi also erupted with ferocity. The Super Douluos from both sides engaged in a chaotic battle that caused the heavens and earth to lose their color. The Shrek side also had timely support from Zhanzi. In the midst of the chaos, it was difficult for any party to get close to the target, yuhao. When Lingya reached this point, a hint of luck and decisiveness appeared in his eyes. I saw the situation and knew it was impossible to succeed. Capturing yuhao was no longer possible. But at that time, yuhao was trapped by the evil soul master's spirit ability, and his life was in danger. I took advantage of the situation and made a deal with him. I would help him and his teachers escape, and in return, he would give me the Starlight Sapphire in his hand, as well as that storage ring obtained from Mirror Scarlet Dust as payment. In the end, I worked with Dean Qian Liner of Shrek to repel Scorpion Tiger Douluo Zhangpeng. Seeing that things were not going his way, Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao also took his people and retreated. And I, as agreed, obtained this item. Lingya flipped his palm, and a ring shimmering with a deep blue halo and made of extraordinary material lay quietly in his palm. The ring seemed to contain countless stars, and it also seemed to seal away endless secrets and dangers. The entire imperial study fell into a deathly silence. The smiles on the faces of Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju had long since frozen, replaced by incomparable shock. They looked at Lingya in disbelief, then looked at the ring that appeared small but felt as heavy as 1,000 jun. During the time Lingya was away, was he really traveling? He had practically stirred up a tempest that swept through several of the world's strongest powers. Not only did he get involved in the chaotic battle between Shrek, the Body Sect, the Evil Soul Masters, and even the Dragon Emperor Douluo, but he actually snatched the tiger's teeth, successfully bringing the highest technical achievements of the Sun Moon Empire's Minged Hall back to Star Luo. This news was like a sudden bolt of thunder, striking hard upon the heads of Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju, who had just believed they were in full control of the situation and enjoying their success. Looking at the storage ring in Lingya's palm, which flowed with deep starlight and seemed to seal away endless knowledge and treasures, Emperor Shu Jiawei felt his throat go dry and his heart beat violently and uncontrollably. Even as an emperor, facing this treasure capable of changing the development process of a nation's spirit tools, he found it difficult to maintain absolute calm. He took a deep breath, trying to make his voice sound steady, but it still couldn't help but carry a hint of imperceptible trembling. Then, Your Excellency, now that you present this item to me, what is your intention? Lingya's gaze was calm, and he laid out the prepared excuse. Your Majesty, please discern. This item is of great significance, and Shrek Academy will absolutely not give up on pursuing it easily. I have made a preliminary investigation. Inside, there are not only many rare spirit tool materials that are hard to find on the market and can even be considered strategic reserves, but also spirit tool blueprints and research data involving core technology that yuhao brought back from the Sun Moon Empire's Minged Hall. Its value is immeasurable. He paused, then said in a firm tone, I am willing to share this treasure with the Star Luo Empire. All materials and data can be copied and researched by the Empire in their entirety. However, the Star Luo Empire must help me completely resolve this concern, bear all the pressure from Shrek, and ensure that this item can safely remain in Star Luo. This was something Dai Yuang and Lingya had already planned. The truly cutting-edge core technology and rare materials inside this storage ring had already been quietly transferred by Lingya and were currently lying quietly in another advanced storage ring owned by Dai Yuang. What Lingya was proposing now was nothing more than a scheme that appeared generous but was actually using bait to exchange for asylum. The materials in this ring were very precious to Star Luo, but compared to the truly valuable things in Dai Yuang's hands, it was merely a drop in the ocean. Upon hearing this, Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju instantly fell into a state of extreme struggle and weighing of options. They certainly wanted the Sun Moon Empire's precious materials and spirit tool data. Over the years, the Star Luo Empire had also attached great importance to the development of spirit tools, but due to technical limitations, they had stagnated. No ninth rank soul engineer had ever been born in the country, the strongest were only 8th rank soul engineers. What they needed most was to break the technical blockade. Shujuju took a deep breath, suppressed the palpitations in her heart, and was the first to speak. Her words contained both a desire for profit and an attempt to find legitimacy for this transaction. Imperial brother, we absolutely cannot miss out on such a precious item that concerns the fate of our nation. Furthermore, Ice Sky titled Douluo did not take it by force, he reached a fair and square deal with that yuhao. He fulfilled his promise, helped Dean Qian Liner repel powerful enemies, and preserve the Shrek disciples. This ring should rightfully be his spoils of war. That may be so, but you and I both know Shrek's style. Emperor Shu Jiawei frowned deeply. An emperor's suspicion and caution made him see further. When have they ever followed absolute reason? Especially when it involves the core technology of Mingd Hall and the spirit tool materials treasured by the Sun Moon Empire, how could they easily let this go? I worry that Star Luo may not necessarily be able to fully withstand Shrek's wrath. Chapter 223 Feigned Feelings and Taking the Blame. Your Majesty's concerns, I understand. Lingya seemed to have long anticipated Emperor Shu Jiawei's misgivings, and he calmly threw out the core of his plan. Therefore, I have already thought of a countermeasure. Does Your Majesty remember that 2 years ago, Dean Yan Shaoj mistakenly identified Dai Yuang as an evil soul master? Ultimately, with Your Majesty and the princess as witnesses, Shrek owed Yuang a promise. The content of the promise is, in the future, if a conflict arises between Yuang and Shrek, as long as it does not harm the lives of Shrek students, Shrek shall not hold him accountable. Your Majesty's concerns, I understand. Lingya seemed to have long anticipated Emperor Shu Jiawei's misgivings, and he calmly threw out the core of his plan. Therefore, I have already thought of a countermeasure. Does Your Majesty remember that 2 years ago, Dean Yan Shaoj mistakenly identified Dai Yuang as an evil soul master? Ultimately, with Your Majesty and the princess as witnesses, Shrek owed Yuang a promise. The content of the promise is, in the future, if a conflict arises between Yuang and Shrek, as long as it does not harm the lives of Shrek students, Shrek shall not hold him accountable. Lingya's gaze swept over Emperor Shu Jiawei and Shu Juju as he slowly laid out the plan to push Dai Yuang to the forefront. We can claim that the mastermind behind the acquisition of this item is Dai Yuang. To the outside world, we will declare that I was hired by him or collaborated with him, that all the plotting was led by him, and that the target was indeed this ring. When that time comes, we can have Yuang invoke that promise, forcing Shrek to acknowledge that this struggle was in accordance with the agreement, and they will not be able to use this matter as an excuse to cause trouble for him, or for my Star Luo. No. Shu Juju's expression changed instantly upon hearing this, and she blurted out, her voice filled with obvious anger and protectiveness. Your meaning, Your Excellency, is to have Yuang bear all the risks for you, take the blame, and become a thorn in Shrek's side. Even if Shrek is hindered by the promise and dares not do anything openly, after this incident, they will surely harbor secret resentment toward Yuang. Facing the accusation, Lingya's expression remained unchanged, his tone becoming even calmer, even carrying a hint of justification. Princess, please do not forget, if I had not intervened that day, Dai Yuang would have already perished at the hands of Yan Shaoj. I have a great life-saving debt of gratitude from him. Now that I have encountered this trouble, asking him to step forward and use that promise, which originally stemmed from Shrek's debt, to resolve this crisis for me, and by extension for Star Luo, to settle this karma, what is wrong with that? Is this not the most direct way to repay that favor? After speaking, as if to increase the stakes, he took out a prepared list filled with writing from his robes and respectfully handed it to Emperor Shu Jiawei. Your Majesty, this is a detailed inventory of all the items inside the ring. Please take a look. Its value is enough to advance our Star Luo spirit tool technology by over 100 years. Ling Ya's voice was full of temptation, but then his tone shifted, carrying a decisive meaning. As long as Your Majesty agrees to this plan, once it is accomplished, all the physical items and data on the list will be handed over to you immediately. Furthermore, I am willing to officially join the Star Luo Empire, serve as an offering in the offering hall, and from now on serve Your Majesty and contribute to the prosperity of Star Luo. He paused, his gaze sharp as he looked at Emperor Shu Jiawei, throwing out his final threat, which was also his final temptation. Otherwise, I would rather crush this ring on the spot right now, letting all the treasures inside be annihilated, so that everyone gains nothing. Your Excellency, wait. Absolutely not. Emperor Shu Jiawei saw the string of shocking material names and technical project titles listed on the inventory, which were enough to drive any monarch mad, and then heard the final choice given by Lingya: either share the risk and the results while gaining the loyalty of a powerhouse, or end up with nothing. He made his decision almost instantly. In the face of such immense benefits, the risk seemed bearable. Letting Dai Yuang take a small blame could earn the Empire's spirit tool industry a leap forward and the loyalty of an ultimate ice-titled Douluo. This deal was simply too worthwhile. He took a deep breath, his gaze turning to his pale-faced sister beside him, his tone carrying the coldness and calculation of an emperor. Juju, for the sake of the Empire. You go and have a good talk with Yuang. Let him put the big picture first. But royal brother, Shu Juju's beautiful eyes were filled with struggle and reluctance, as well as deep guilt toward Dai Yuang. There is no but. Emperor Shu Jiawei interrupted her, his tone decisive. Yuang is the future consort of Star Luo, a high official of the Empire, and his path is already different from Shrek's. A small offense is not unbearable for him. Conversely, if the Empire can become strong because of this, it is the greatest guarantee for him and for you. Once it is done, I will never treat him poorly, I will certainly give him sufficient compensation to make up for this. Shu Juju looked at the unshakable determination in her brother's eyes, then looked at the ring in Ling Ya's hand that concerned the fate of the nation, and thought back to the intimacy of last night and the tenderness of this morning. The huge sense of conflict almost tore her apart. Thinking that she had only just made Dai Yuang sign the Star Crown Pact that cost his life yesterday, and today she was asking him to take the blame again. The guilt in her heart was as heavy as a mountain, but on one side was the unprovoked disaster and potential risk her beloved would have to bear, and on the other side was the heavy responsibility of the royal family and the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Empire. She had to make a choice. In the end, that concept of national interest above all else, instilled since childhood and carved into her marrow, was like a heavy shackle that overwhelmed the private feelings and guilt in her heart. Her slender fingers tightly clenched the hem of her palace dress, her knuckles turning white from the force, and her voice was so low it was almost inaudible. I understand, royal brother. I will go and talk to Yuang. Shu Juju returned to the princess mansion with an incredibly heavy heart. Every step felt like walking on a dense bed of needles. Her brother's words and Ling Ya's ring, shimmering with temptation and crisis, were repeatedly intertwined in her mind, pressing down on her until she could barely breathe. The cold calculations about national interest in the imperial study just now formed a sharp and painful contrast with the warm mansion before her, filled with the warmth of last night and the scent of Dai Yuang. She pushed open the door to the bedchamber, and an enticing aroma of food rushed toward her, not from the royal kitchen, but carrying a unique, homely scent. She saw that Dai Yuang was actually wearing a simple apron, placing the last carefully prepared dish on the table. The dishes on the table were bright in color and steaming hot, all of them nutritious meals to nourish the body, and looking closely, they were all flavors she favored in her daily life. There was still a thin layer of sweat on his forehead from his busyness, and seeing her return, he immediately raised a warm smile without a trace of gloom. You're back. Did the government affairs go smoothly? I guessed you would be hungry when you returned, so I just made a few things. Come and have a taste. His tone was natural, as if he were just an ordinary husband waiting for his wife to come home, his eyes full of concern, completely unaware of the unprovoked disaster about to descend. This scene was like the gentlest blade, precisely piercing the softest and most guilty part of Shu Juju's heart. Her nose tingled, and she almost shed tears. Her brother's instructions and the Empire's interests pressed on her heart like cold boulders, while the sincerity and dedication of the person before her made her feel that the words she was about to speak were a great betrayal. During the meal, she had no appetite, several times wanting to speak but holding back. Dai Yuang seemed to notice her abnormality, constantly serving food for her and softly asking if she was unwell or had encountered any problems. That unfeigned concern almost caused her to break down completely. Finally, she could no longer endure the inner torment. She put down her jade chopsticks, her voice trembling slightly, and laid it all out without reservation. The matter in the imperial study, Ling Ya's request, her brother's decision, and the huge benefits and risks brought by the ring. Every time she spoke, she carefully observed Dai Yuang's reaction, her heart filled with guilt. Yuang, I know this is too much, you just signed the Star Crown Pact and gave all your trust to me. She spoke incoherently, not even daring to look up at him. The Empire really needs those things too much. I know this matter has nothing to do with you, and setting you up like this is truly wrong, but I really have no way to change Royal Brother's decision. However, the expected anger, dissatisfaction, or disappointment did not appear. Dai Yuang just listened quietly, his eyes as gentle as ever. When she finished speaking, he suddenly reached out and gently pulled her into his embrace. His hug was warm and solid, carrying a reassuring scent. Silly girl. His deep voice sounded in her ear, carrying infinite tolerance and a hint of doting reproach. I thought it was some big deal that made you worry like this. It's just a name, a little bit of Shrek's resentment, what is the big deal about that? He gently stroked her back, soothing her. Has the princess forgotten? Yesterday, I willingly tied my life, my freedom, to your hands, to share with you. By comparison, taking such a small blame for you and Star Luo, what does that count for? He held her face, his thumb gently wiping away the corners of her slightly wet eyes, his gaze so sincere it made one's heart tremble. So, don't feel guilty, and don't be troubled. These words were like a warm current that breached the final dam in Shujuju's heart. Immense emotion and love instantly overwhelmed her. She hugged him back tightly, burying her face in his chest, her voice choked with sobs. Yuang, thank you for understanding me so well, for doing so much for me. Intertwined with extreme emotion and guilt, she looked up, and through tear-blurred eyes, she made an incredibly solemn promise, as if to compensate him with everything she had. Yuang, wait for me. Wait until everything is settled in the future. If you are willing to stay in Star Luo, I will exhaust everything I have to beg Royal Brother to bestow the most noble hereditary title of Prince, so that you may enjoy supreme glory and stand with me at the pinnacle of all people. Or, a hint of longing flashed in her eyes. If you are tired of the disturbances here and want to leave this whirlpool of power, we will leave together. Let go of the identities of Princess and Duke, just the two of us. I will bear children for you, we will find a place with beautiful mountains and clear waters, a family of 3, living plainly, traveling and sightseeing, never worrying about these disputes again. That would also be very, very happy, right? Her words were filled with beautiful visions of the future. It was compensation for him, and also a true expression of her inner desires under the heavy pressure at this moment. She tightly gripped his lapels, as if grasping the only warmth and salvation. Dai Yuang listened to her deeply moving promise, the gentle smile in his eyes deepening. He tightened his arms, holding her closer in his embrace, his chin resting gently on the top of her head, his voice soft. Okay, I will listen to everything you say. No matter where we go, whether it is as a prince or a commoner, as long as you are by my side, that is the best future. Only in the depths of his profound eyes, beneath that layer of ripples invisible to anyone else, a cold mockery was revealed, only to be completely covered up by an boundless mask of gentleness in an instant. Come to think of it, this matter was not actually him taking the blame, because he really was the mastermind. However, afterwards, presumably everyone would believe that he was pushed out by Star Luo to take the fall, and even Shrek would think so. Perhaps quite a few people would even feel sympathy for him because of it. Chapter 224, The Mastermind Instantly Becomes the Victim. The tranquility of the Star Luo Empire's capital did not last long. Just as Emperor Shu Jiawei and Ling Ya had anticipated, a few days later, a sternly worded letter, bearing the exclusive seal of the Sea God's Pavilion of Shrek Academy, was delivered directly to the Emperor of the Star Luo Empire's desk through special channels. The content of the letter was no surprise. It questioned the Star Luo Empire with the harshest possible attitude as to why they condoned Ling Ya robbing Yuhao of Shrek Academy of his personal belongings in broad daylight, and demanded that the Star Luo Empire immediately return all items unconditionally. In the imperial study, the atmosphere was heavy. Emperor Shu Jiawei looked at the letter, from which he could almost feel the sender's rage, but there was no look of surprise on his face. He had long since prepared a countermeasure. Soon, a carefully arranged response was issued through official channels. The Star Luo Empire did not directly deny the fact of seizing the ring, but cleverly pushed all, leading responsibility, onto Dai Yuang alone. The official statement claimed that this was Dai Yuang's personal action. Because he had a long-standing grudge with Dean Yan Shaoj of Shrek Academy, and upon learning that an important disciple of Shrek was returning with treasures, he planned and executed this operation out of a desire for revenge and compensation. The Star Luo Empire was deeply shocked upon discovering this, and so on. Immediately after, Dai Yuang himself stepped into the spotlight. Facing Shrek's inquiry, he appeared neither denying nor arrogant. He was exceptionally calm, and even with a hint of grievance, spoke of the promise Dean Yan Shaoj had made in public 2 years ago. Dean Yan, the day you attacked and killed me without cause, and even slandered me as an evil soul master, is an indisputable fact. Later, through the mediation of your majesty and the princess, Shrek promised that in the future, if I had a conflict with your academy, as long as I did not harm the lives of Shrek students, your academy would not pursue it. This time, although I took an item from yuhao, did I harm him in the process? Did I harm any person from Shrek? No. Crowned Ice even acted according to the agreement, helping Dean Qian Liner repel the evil soul master and saving yuhao's life. Since that is the case, this incident fully falls within the scope of the promise made back then. This ring shall be considered the final compensation and apology from you, Dean Yan, and Shrek for the events of that year. Let this matter end here. If your academy insists on pursuing it, it would be going back on your word and abandoning your promise, for all spirit masters in the world to witness. These words were spoken with reason and evidence, and directly pinned the label of Dean Yan Shaoj breaking his promise on him. Hearing these words, Dean Yan Shaoj was so angry his face turned livid, his chest heaving violently, but he couldn't utter a single word of rebuttal. When he made the promise back then, he only thought it was to dismiss Dai Yuang. He never expected that this seemingly useless promise would be used so precisely and cunningly by Dai Yuang today, effectively cornering Shrek. He truly had to swallow his broken teeth mixed with blood, feeling extremely aggrieved. When the news reached Shrek and yuhao learned that the person who ultimately robbed the treasure was Dai Yuang, his heart was filled with shock and confusion, and even a sense of resentment for being betrayed welled up. In his memory, although this half-brother had become increasingly unfamiliar, it was an indisputable fact that he had given him warmth in his early years. Why would he now resort to such extortion against him? Vice Dean Kai Meyer saw that he was distressed and wanted to comfort him. After all, she was experienced and saw things more clearly. She sighed and said, "Yuhao, this matter is not as simple as it appears on the surface. That Dai Yuang is likely just a pawn pushed out. The true mastermind is most likely the Star Luo royal family. It just so happens that Dai Yuang holds this promise that our academy owes him, making him the best shield for the Star Luo Empire to resolve our accountability. This is an open conspiracy. We know he has hidden difficulties, and may even be coerced, but as long as he does not stand up and admit that he is taking the blame for others, we cannot break this situation." She further analyzed, and standing from Dai Yuang's perspective, he has now completely broken ties with the White Tiger Duke's mansion, and his only reliance within the Star Luo Empire is the royal family. He cannot afford to offend the Shu family. For his own safety and future prospects, he has to carry this blame whether he wants to or not, and must even appear willing. He is also helpless. After hearing Vice Dean Kai Meyer's analysis, yuhao suddenly realized the truth. The resentment in his heart dissipated by more than half in an instant, replaced by a complex sense of sympathy. So, his brother's situation in Star Luo was so difficult. While he appeared infinitely glorious, he was actually just a tool in the hands of the royal family that could be sacrificed at any time, forced to bear even such infamy. He was not living well either. Far more than just Shrek held similar views. When the news reached the ears of the high-level officials of major forces, anyone with a bit of political acumen and intelligence analysis ability, such as the high-level officials of the Heavenly Soul Empire, Douluo Empire, and even mirror scarlet dust of the Sun Moon Empire, almost all reached a conclusion similar to Vice Dean Kai Myers. The Star Luo Empire benefited, and Dai Yuang took the blame. This was almost obvious, especially sect master Du Busi of the Body sect. This straightforward and reckless sect master shouted mockery in his own sect hall without any hesitation. The Star Luo Shu family is truly regressing. If they want the Sun Moon Empire's spirit tool technology but lack the ability to get it themselves, they actually push out a son-in-law to take the fall. Using an innocent junior as a shield, bah. It's truly a disgrace to the imperial family. Thus, in the minds of the top figures of the major forces, Dai Yuang's image quietly changed. He went from a promising young genius to a poor guy, who was used by the imperial family, forced to bear infamy, and was worthy of sympathy and even somewhat pitiful. However, within the Star Luo Empire, for the ordinary citizens and the vast number of low-level spirit masters who were completely unaware of the truth of the upper-level power struggle, the version they learned through the officially guided news was that Dai Yuang was wise and courageous, planning for the country, and, reasonably and legally, obtained a large amount of precious spirit tool data from Shrek, greatly enhancing the Empire's strength. He was a hero and loyal official who did not fear power and was loyal to the Empire. One scapegoat, blooming on both sides. The benefits Dai Yuang truly wanted, those core technologies and materials that were quietly transferred, had already securely fallen into his pocket. The Star Luo royal family obtained the data they wanted and Ling Ya's loyalty, and was deeply satisfied with Dai Yuang's understanding of the big picture. And Dai Yuang's own threat level in the eyes of external experts was greatly reduced, and he also gained unexpected sympathy points. His reputation within the country did not decrease but actually rose. Most importantly, this pot was not a black pot to begin with. From beginning to end, the matter was indeed designed and planned by him. And then it was placed on his own head by his own hands in the form of a scapegoat. But after this operation, the truth was distorted into a lie, and he, the mastermind, perfectly hid himself, instead becoming the greatest victim. Nana, who knew the whole truth, couldn't help but secretly complain while guarding Dai Yuang in the shadows. The young lord is so despicable. It was clearly him stirring up the wind and rain, yet the whole world thinks he is a little white flower devastated by the wind and rain. And the most direct benefit gained from this sympathy and sacrifice was the almost overflowing guilt and love of Shu Juju. The way she looked at Dai Yuang was so gentle it could drip water. Her heart was filled with a desire for compensation, and she stuck to him more and more, almost inseparable. Dai Yuang had not been able to step out of the princess mansion for 6 or 7 days, immersed all day in the meticulous gentle comfort of Her Highness the Princess. However, Dai Yuang was not a person who would indulge in a land of gentleness. In his eyes, romantic feelings were certainly an important seasoning and tool, but there were things far more worth pursuing than the tenderness of a beauty. Power, authority, and that supreme god position. He finally found an excuse to break free from Shu Juju's lingering attachment and immediately secretly summoned Nana. Nana, he ordered, his eyes regaining their usual clarity and sharpness, depart immediately and go to the vicinity of Shrek City to lurk. Keep a close watch on their upcoming Sea God's Fate matchmaking event. After the event ends, Huo Yuhao should go out for a trip. After he returns, no matter what happens, return immediately and report all details to me. Yes, young lord. Nana received the order, her figure quietly blending into the shadows and disappearing. Dai Yuang stood with his hands behind his back, looking towards the direction of Shrek City. The Sea God's Fate, that was the opening bell for another good show. He would not miss it. Chapter 225. After the Sea God Fate, Dai Yuang's actions begin anew. Nana's figure was like an invisible shadow, weaving between the official roads and mountain forests. With the ability of a titled Douluo, it took her no more than a day to arrive at that city famous across the continent, Shrek City. This city was situated on the edge of the vast and dangerous Star Do Great Forest, yet it lacked the tense, murderous atmosphere of a border fortress, instead presenting a peculiar openness and prosperity. Due to its unique geographical location, although it was within the borders of the Heavenly Soul Empire, it bordered both the Star Luo and Douluo empires. Combined with the transcendent neutral status of Shrek Academy, this place had become one of the most important transit hubs for trade among the three great empires. The wide streets were bustling with traffic, with endless caravans arriving from all corners of the land. Goods of every description were piled like mountains, and the noise of the crowd was deafening. Its level of prosperity was in no way inferior to the capital city of any empire. Nana restrained her aura, perfectly concealing the spirit power fluctuations of a titled Douluo. At this moment, she looked like nothing more than an ordinary traveler with delicate features and a slightly cold temperament, blending into the ceaseless flow of the crowd, completely unremarkable. As long as she did not stir up trouble, no one would notice this ordinary young woman. She walked leisurely, appearing to stroll aimlessly, but in reality, her goal was clear. She slowly approached that holy land in the hearts of all spirit masters, Shrek Academy. Outside the tall and ancient walls, she stopped and asked a few students wearing Shrek Academy uniforms, appearing curious, "Excuse me, students. I am traveling through here and have long heard of your Academy's Sea God Fate Festival. I am filled with admiration. May I ask when it will be held this year? Do outsiders have a chance to witness such a grand event?" Seeing that it was a rather attractive young woman asking, the students were quite enthusiastic. One of them smiled and replied, "Big sister, you've come at the perfect time. The Sea God Fate is being held tonight on Sea God Lake. As for participating, only our senior sisters from the inner court are eligible. But if you just want to watch and soak in the atmosphere, that's perfectly fine. You can watch from the lakeside. Every year, many outsiders come specifically to see it." Nana's heart stirred, and she thought to herself, the young lord's prediction was indeed accurate. The timing is just right. It really is better to come at the right time than to come early. She thanked the students, then delayed no further and quietly waited for nightfall. As the lights were lit, the area around Sea God Lake was already packed with people. Countless Shrek Academy students, teachers, and outsiders like Nana who had come for its reputation, as well as commoners, packed the lakeside so tightly that not a drop of water could trickle through. The air was filled with excitement and anticipation. Nana blended into the crowd, chose a spot with a decent view, and cast her calm gaze toward the lake surface, which was decorated by lights to look dreamlike. She felt nothing for the romantic atmosphere of this place. Her mission was only to observe and record. The process of the grand event was actually much the same as in the original story. The couples who were meant to be together still achieved their happy endings, such as Huo Yuhao and Wang Donger. The hardships that were meant to be experienced still existed, such as the lingering sorrow between Bei Bei's brows caused by Tang Ya. Of course, there were differences. Without the experience of fighting side by side in the first tournament, Zhang Nanan once again decisively rejected Shu Sanxi today. The biggest difference lay in the fact that because the Snow Empress had long since become Dai Yuang's symbiotic spirit, Huo Yuhao had not been able to create the system of spirit souls that shocked the continent as he did in the original story, and naturally, he could not use it to stun the audience at the Sea God Fate and win thunderous applause. The next day, accompanied by Wang Donger and Gongyang Mo, a support system spirit master who had installed a soul tool prosthetic limb and regained his mobility, Huo Yuhao set off for the Star Do Great Forest to hunt for his fifth spirit ring. In the team, there was no sign of that stunningly beautiful girl with a special identity who should have appeared, Wang Choer. This situation was not strange. The fate of the three-eyed golden lion, the emperor auspicious beast, had long been quietly rewritten by Dai Yuang. Since it had not developed that fatal entanglement of fate with Huo Yuhao, how could it inexplicably take human form and come looking for him? She was still in the forest, happily being her auspicious beast. Several days later, Huo Yuhao successfully advanced to Spirit King and returned to the academy. However, on the very second day after his return, Nana keenly noticed that Huo Yuhao had left the academy in a hurry, all alone, with a certain urgency and worry in his expression. The time has come. Nana understood in her heart that the focus the young lord wanted her to pay attention to seemed to have happened. She did not hesitate in the slightest. Her figure quietly vanished. The next moment, she had already swept out of Shrek City like a ghost, unleashing the full speed of a titled Douluo, transforming into a blur invisible to the naked eye, and rushed back to Douluo City to report at top speed. Inside the princess mansion, Yuhao received the brief message transmitted back by Nana, and a flash of light shone in his eyes. He calculated that Shu Juju was currently in the imperial palace handling government affairs and would not return for some time, so he calmly spread out a sheet of stationery and wrote a note. In the letter, his tone was relaxed, even carrying a hint of teasing. He stated that he had been feeling a bit stifled recently and wanted to go out alone for a few days to clear his head and breathe some fresh air, and would be back soon. He specifically emphasized multiple times that Juju should not overthink it, that he was absolutely not feeling depressed or sad because of the recent incidents of the Star Crown Pact, and being forced to take the blame, repeatedly mentioning that he did not mind, and telling Juju not to worry about it. At the end of the letter, the tone shifted, carrying a hint of ambiguous complaint. It is truly because your highness has been so insatiable these past few days that this husband feels quite overwhelmed. If I do not go out to recuperate and rest for a bit, I fear I will be unable to fulfill my duties in the future. This letter could be called a masterpiece of playing hard to get. On one hand, by utilizing the illusion of absolute control, brought about by the Star Crown Pact, he made the Shu family lower their guard against him, making his travel much freer. On the other hand, by repeatedly mentioning those two frustrating incidents, using a writing style that essentially said, "There is no silver buried here," he indicated that he truly did not mind, while in reality, it was to deepen the sense of guilt in Shu Juju's heart. It was somewhat similar to a famous quote from Nirvana in Fire, "This matter was done by this humble official alone, I beg your majesty not to blame my master." Both worked on the same principle. And that last seemingly unserious joke perfectly diluted the grievance in the letter, as if he were truly just going out to restore his origin chi, which instead made Shu Juju feel more at ease, and even find him cute. Sure enough, when Shu Juju finished handling government affairs and returned to the princess mansion to see this letter, a strong wave of guilt and heartache did indeed surge in her heart at first. She felt that it was she and her imperial brother who had caused Yuhao to be wronged, which was why he needed to go out to vent his feelings. But when she saw that last sentence, her stunningly beautiful face instantly flushed crimson, and she couldn't help but spit lightly. Ha! This unserious fellow, who is insatiable. Although it was a shy rebuke, her tense heartstrings could not help but relax, and the corners of her mouth even curled into a helpless yet sweet smile. She pressed the letter gently against her chest and murmured to herself, "Fine, fine," letting him go out to clear his head as for the best. Since returning to Douluo, so many things have happened in succession, it has indeed been too stifling for him. She never expected that what she thought was an outing to clear his head was actually the beginning of a new wave of turmoil to be stirred up by her poor, helpless husband. Chapter 226, Ice and Fire Yin-Yang Well. The figures of Yuhao and Nana were like meteors tearing through the night sky, streaking across the horizon at an astonishing speed, heading straight toward the sunset forest. The wind whistled past his ears, but it could not drown out the ticking sound of time being calculated in his heart. He had to arrive before Yuhao left, so he pushed his speed to the limit. When the two arrived at the edge of the sunset forest, a suffocating silence rushed toward them. Completely different from the vibrant vitality of the Douluo Great Forest, this place was shrouded in an atmosphere of death. The towering ancient trees still stood tall, but they resembled giant tombstones, and a faint, colorful mist permeated the forest, beautiful in a bizarre and deadly way. The deeper they went, the more intense the toxins in the air became. Yuhao could feel a stinging sensation on his skin, as if countless tiny needles were trying to pierce through his defenses. Nana followed closely behind, her brows slightly furrowed, clearly also sensing the malice of this forest. "Young lord, the poisonous gas here is even more terrifying than described in the intelligence," Nana whispered, her voice sounding exceptionally clear in the silent forest. Yuhao did not answer immediately, his gaze swept across the surroundings like a hawk. Bleached bones were visible everywhere on the ground, ranging from the remains of small spirit beasts to the skeletons of large ones, all appearing an unnatural gray-black, evidently caused by corrosion from the potent poison. Over the past 10,000 years, countless jade scale 7 absolute flowers had suddenly appeared in this sunset forest, turning this once prosperous forest into a territory of death. It's no wonder that the original yuhao needed an all-terrain self-propelled artillery platform to penetrate this deep, Dai Yuang thought to himself. Even a titled Douluo would likely find it difficult to persist here for long. But Dai Yuang had already made plans. Ultimate ice was the exact nemesis of this kind of poison, and he was prepared for this. He immediately used his heavenly demon pill spirit to condense 2 crystal clear medicinal pills, which were the snow soul condensing ice pill, and handed one to Nana. The moment she consumed the medicinal pill, a force of extreme cold erupted from her dantian and quickly flowed through her entire body. A nearly invisible film of frost condensed on Dai Yuang's skin, and when those deadly poisonous gases approached this layer of protection, they were instantly frozen into tiny ice crystals and fell with a rustling sound. Nana, stay close to me, Dai Yuang commanded briefly, his gaze locked firmly on the direction where the poisonous gas was thickest. The jade scale 7 absolute flowers grew wildly by relying on the energy of the ice and fire yin-yang well. In other words, the place where the poisonous gas was strongest must be the closest to that legendary treasure land. The deeper they went, the thicker the colorful poisonous miasma became, almost flowing in the air like a liquid. The stench grew stronger and stronger, making one feel nauseous. Nana had to release more of her ultimate ice spirit power to resist this terrifying toxin. If these jade scale 7 absolute flowers grew 2 more leaves and evolved into jade scale 9 absolute flowers, they could become plant-type spirit beasts, Dai Yuang explained as he moved forward. For poison-type spirit masters, they are priceless treasures. Suddenly, the poisonous fog in front of them churned violently, and an exceptionally large jade scale 9 absolute flower appeared in their field of vision. It stood 3 meters tall, its 9 leaves displaying an eerie, colorful luster, and in the center of the flower, it was as if an eye were watching the intruders. It has already become a formidable force, Nana said vigilantly, condensing cold spirit power in her hands. But Dai Yuang waved his hand, no need to waste spirit power. Ultimate ice is its natural enemy. Sure enough, after sensing the aura of ultimate ice radiating from the 2, the jade scale 9 absolute flower slowly shrank, as if it had encountered its nemesis, not daring to launch an attack easily. Dai Yuang smiled slightly and walked forward side by side with Nana. Wherever they passed, the ultimate ice spirit power released by Nana froze large swaths of the poison clouds, and the colorful poisonous mist condensed into ice crystals in the extreme cold, falling like rain and twinkling like stars in the dim forest. This path paved with ice crystals wound forward, and finally, after a particularly dense wall of poison, the scene suddenly opened up. A few hundred meters ahead was a huge basin, and in the center of the basin were 2 pools of water that were intertwined yet clearly distinct. One side was fiery red like magma, and the other was ice blue like the polar regions. The red and blue lake waters formed a perfect taiji pattern, emitting heart-palpitating energy fluctuations. This was the ice and fire yin-yang well, one of the 3 legendary treasure basins. Countless exotic flowers and herbs grew within the basin, each emitting rich energy fluctuations and brilliant colors. The air was filled with various strange fragrances, and just one light breath was enough to feel one's spirit power increase. Gathering the beauty of the world, a place where heaven and earth's spiritual qi converges, Dai Yuang sighed in admiration, a burning light flashing in his eyes. The growth rate of plants here is more than 10 times faster than in the outside world. His gaze was like lightning, quickly sweeping across the entire basin, finally fixing on a particularly conspicuous plant a few hundred meters away. It was a large pink flower, leafless, with a stem 3 feet long, and the flower was huge, with a diameter of at least a foot, each petal appearing as transparent as crystal. The stamen was light purple, like sparkling purple gems inlaid within it. The fragrant luo immortal herb, the nemesis of all poisons. It was precisely because of the existence of this immortal herb that the jade-scale poisonous clouds could not invade this holy land. Dai Yuang could feel the powerful energy fluctuations radiating from this immortal herb. After 10,000 years of nourishment and accelerated growth from the ice and fire yin-yang well, it had likely reached the 100,000-year level and possessed its own intelligence. Those flowers and herbs had not yet discovered them, and Dai Yuang did not act rashly. His gaze was as sharp as a knife, carefully searching every corner of the basin, looking for that expected figure. Huo Yuhao had not arrived yet. The corners of Dai Yuang's mouth curled into a calculating arc. After all, the other party's cultivation was far inferior to his and Nana's, and it would take more time for him to reach this place and cross the poisonous barrier. We will wait here, Dai Yuang whispered to Nana, choosing a hidden highland that allowed them to overlook the entire ice and fire yin-yang well while remaining difficult to detect. The two concealed their presence, as if merging into the rocks of the environment. Dai Yuang's gaze remained locked on the entrance, waiting for his prey to arrive. The magnificent scenery of the ice and fire yin-yang well was nothing but a backdrop in his eyes, all his attention was focused on the impending confrontation. The energy fluctuations in the air grew stronger, and the light emitted by the various immortal herbs, reflected by the red and blue lake waters, wove together into a dreamlike picture. Dai Yuang waited quietly, the secrets of the ice and fire yin-yang well, as well as the impending arrival of Huo Yuhao, were all chess pieces in his layout. The two did not have to wait long. About half a day later, a guy, relying on a spirit tool and ultimate ice, also successfully passed through that poisonous miasma and entered the ice and fire yin-yang well. It was Huo Yuhao. It seemed that Tang San's test for him had already begun. However, this time there was no Choer to help him, he had come alone. Chapter 227, Scheming against Huo Yuhao, Trading for Immortal Herb Rights. Huo Yuhao entered the ice and fire yin-yang well alone. Just as he was searching for his target, that large red flower noticed him. Human, you carry an aura very similar to the extreme cold yin spring. It's no wonder you were able to pass through the poisonous clouds outside. Coming here is your good fortune. A gentle voice suddenly rang out. Huo Yuhao turned around abruptly, only to see a huge pink flower gently swaying. Huo Yuhao was startled and subconsciously took half a step back, instantly manifesting his spirit. A plant-type spirit beast capable of human speech must be at least near the 100,000-year level. 100,000-year spirit beast? He asked vigilantly, his spirit eye fully activated as he carefully examined this mysterious plant. I am not some 100,000-year spirit beast. The flower's voice carried a hint of playfulness, and its petals opened and closed gently. I have only lived for over 10,000 years, I am very young. My name is Yushang Qiluo, you can just call me Yu. Plant-type spirit beasts with such strong detoxification abilities and little combat power usually had good tempers. However, its denial of being a 100,000-year spirit beast sounded a bit like those young girls who didn't want their age mentioned. In fact, in terms of cultivation, it had indeed reached the 100,000-year spirit beast level. It wasn't just it, inside this ice and fire yin-yang well, there were many other 100,000-year spirit beasts. Hidden behind the rocks on high, Nana held her breath and focused. A titled Douluo's perception allowed her to clearly sense the powerful energy fluctuations in the basin. At least 5 or 6 auras no weaker than her own were hidden among those plants. Young lord. Nana lowered her voice, her tone carrying a rare solemnity. There are actually so many plant-type 100,000-year spirit beasts in here. Once we enter, I'm afraid it will be very dangerous. Dai Yuang curled his lips into a cold smile, his gaze sweeping across the entire basin. That is precisely why I did not rashly enter. The immortal herbs of this ice and fire yin-yang well are already considered the exclusive property of the Tang clan and will only be given to the descendants of the Tang clan. Even if we go in, these 100,000-year spirit beasts will prevent us from obtaining the immortal herbs. His gaze fell on the plants emitting powerful fluctuations as he continued, here, they can borrow the energy of the ice and fire yin-yang well, and their strength far exceeds that of ordinary 100,000-year spirit beasts. Just relying on the two of us, even if we don't fear them, it won't be that easy to forcefully snatch the immortal herbs from their hands. So this time, I want to continue reaping the benefits of the snipe and clam fighting. That Huo Yuhao has come today in the identity of a Tang clan descendant. When he passes the trials and reaches the steps I want, we will go over. Yes, young lord. Nana had long since reached the point of complete submission to Dai Yuang. This young lord's scheming was terrifyingly deep. She couldn't compare to him anyway, so it was better to just be a thug and honestly listen to the young lord's plans. At this moment, the Yushang Qiluo below was questioning Huo Yuhao for information. Through this information, it confirmed that Huo Yuhao was the person Tang San had asked it to wait for. Next came the trial. Yu first took out a medicinal herb for Huo Yuhao to consume. It was precisely the Wengchuan Chushui Du. Relying on this spirit-type immortal herb, Huo Yuhao's spirit eye already showed signs of a second awakening. Huo Yuhao consumed the herb and easily passed its trial. After all, this guy's sincerity towards Wang Donger could not be faked, otherwise, he wouldn't have been trained so severely by Tang San in the future. The second trial was the trial of the blazing apricot delicate. This time, Huo Yuhao didn't have the Snow Empress to help him, but since there was no Snow Empress, then Electrolux naturally didn't die because of this butterfly effect. Moreover, compared to before, his soul power seemed to have recovered quite a bit. In the end, relying on him possessing Huo Yuhao, with terrifying spiritual control, he also passed the second trial. Afterwards, Yu handed the book left by Tang San, as well as the Yearning Heartbroken Red, to Huo Yuhao. Originally, after passing the trials, Huo Yuhao could have also chosen 7 immortal herbs as a reward. However, at this moment, Huo Yuhao's mind was not on the immortal herbs. His gaze was entirely on a red flower pointed out by Yu. That red flower looked ordinary, yet it made Huo Yuhao's heartbeat accelerate involuntarily. The petals were delicate and dripping, with a bit of golden yellow at the pistil, emitting energy fluctuations that made one's heart palpitate. This is the Yearning Heartbroken Red. Yu's voice became solemn. Only those who truly love each other, by watering it with heart blood, can pick it. Huo Yuhao took the Yearning Heartbroken Red with trembling hands, his eyes full of hope. Donger can be saved. He followed the method in Tang San's book, channeling his spirit power to force out a drop of heart blood and spat it onto the petals. However, the ultimate ice attribute within his body caused the blood to instantly freeze into an ice bead, rolling on the petals without being able to seep into them. No, this cannot be. Huo Yuhao was almost on the verge of collapse. Suddenly, he thought of something and rushed madly to the side of the blazing Yang spring. Disregarding the scalding spring water burning his hands, he scooped up a handful of spring water and sent it into his mouth. The extreme heat and extreme cold conflicted violently within his body. The pain made him roar, his skin turning red like a soldering iron one moment, and pale like frost and snow the next. But he gritted his teeth and held on, relying on his longing for Wang Donger, and channeled his heart blood once again. This time, the fresh blood successfully seeped into the petals. The Yearning Heartbroken Red swayed gently, detached from the branch, and fell perfectly into Huo Yuhao's hands. But at this moment, Huo Yuhao was already at the end of his rope, his internal organs ravaged by the alternation of extreme heat and extreme cold, and his life force immediately declined. Although he had successfully picked the Yearning Heartbroken Red, at this moment, his internal organs were all burning, and even if he had picked the immortal herb, he had no energy left to send it back to Wang Donger. This time, there was no Wang Choer to pick another Yearning Heartbroken Red to save him. No, I must hold on, I must hold on. I must save Donger. Huo Yuhao struggled to crawl up. It's time. Dai Yuang said softly, a glimmer of calculation flashing in his eyes. Nana, it's your turn to appear. Yes, young lord. Nana immediately flew down. With her and Ling Ya's assistance, many of Dai Yuang's plans could be successfully implemented, while he himself hid behind the scenes to continue leading. Nana appeared before Huo Yuhao as silently as a ghost, releasing the aura of a titled Douluo without reservation. Dark spirit power circulated around her, 9 spirit rings floated up slowly, and finally, that bright red 100,000-year spirit ring emitted a heart-palpitating pressure. Titled Douluo. Who are you? The blazing apricot delicate shouted sternly, blazing flames leaping between its leaves, and other plant-type spirit beasts also entered a state of alert. Nana smiled indifferently, her gaze sweeping over the plant-type spirit beasts that were prepared for battle. Don't be nervous, I am not an enemy. She walked to Huo Yuhao, looking at this dying youth. I saw everything just now, it was truly moving. I didn't expect there to be someone in the world as deep in love as you, capable of picking the yearning heartbroken red. Senior, may I ask who you are? Huo Yuhao asked weakly. Although Nana looked young on the surface, she was a titled Douluo after all, and she was covering her face with a veil, so Huo Yuhao subconsciously thought she was an elderly senior who knew how to maintain her youthful appearance. Wasn't teacher Kai Meyer of the academy the same? I am a passing titled Douluo. I came to the Sunset Forest originally for my own business, but I unintentionally entered this mysterious place and secretly observed your every move. Nana said, seeing you so loyal and righteous, I want to help you. Hearing this, hope arose in Huo Yuhao's heart. He picked up the yearning heartbroken red in his hand. Senior, please, send this flower to Shrek Academy, to Wang Donger. He certainly knew how dangerous it was to give an immortal herb to someone. The probability of it being embezzled was very high, but he had absolutely no other way. In his current state, he feared he would die before even walking out of this sunset forest. Now he could only treat a dead horse as if it were a living one, hoping this titled Douluo was a good person. This seat doesn't have the leisure for that, but this seat can make a deal with you. This seat will save your life and let you recover to your best state so you can go save people yourself. But my condition is the qualification for your immortal herbs. That flower just said you can choose 7 immortal herbs from here to take away. I want you to give me the qualification for all 7 of these immortal herbs. Do you want to make this deal or not? Nana asked. Chapter 228, The Ability of the Snow Maiden Sacred Heart Pill, Obtaining the Immortal Herb. Actually, if it were possible, Dai Yuang had considered killing Huo Yuhao right here to end it once and for all. But firstly, the manager here, Fragrant Silk Immortal Herb, was ordered by Tang San to manage this place, and since Huo Yuhao had arrived as Tang San's successor, these 100,000-year spirit beasts would likely protect him. Secondly, the eligibility for the immortal herb was with him. If he didn't trade, they would have to seize it by force. Although Dai Yuang and Nana might not necessarily lose if they fought those 100,000-year spirit beasts, starting a war would likely destroy the immortal herbs here that had not yet gained sentience. After some thought, he decided to prioritize obtaining the immortal herb first. In Huo Yuhao's mental sea, Tianmeng Iceworm urged him anxiously, Yuhao, agree to her quickly. No matter how precious the immortal herb is, it's not as important as your life. If you die, what will happen to me? What about Bingbing? What about Elder Yi? We will all have to die with you. Ice Empress's cold voice also rang out, idiot, agree to her. Only by living can you have everything. Actually, Ice Empress and Tianmeng had wanted to start scolding him just now, and although Electrolux was naturally calm, he was also dissatisfied in his heart. Huo Yuhao actually had another major flaw. When carrying the hopes of many, he was still too impulsive and didn't even value his own life. He had to realize that if he died, all the spirit souls attached to him would also lose their lives, meaning the bets that Tianmeng, Ice Empress, Snow Empress, and others had placed on him would instantly go down the drain. This was also a major factor why Dai Yuang never considered investing in Huo Yuhao. In his judgment, this person was simply not worth investing in. Huo Yuhao gasped with difficulty, knowing he had no other choice. If he died, there would be no hope left. He finally nodded, his voice weak but firm, I agree, please, senior, save me. Fragrant Silk Immortal Herb's petals trembled slightly, its tone filled with worry, human, you must think clearly. If you agree to this transaction, it is equivalent to giving up your eligibility for 7 immortal herbs and handing this right entirely over to this person. Every immortal herb here is priceless and can even change a spirit master's destiny. It doesn't matter, Huo Yuhao's eyes held only determination, no matter how precious the immortal herb is, it cannot compare to Donger's life. I only want Donger to be safe, nothing else matters. At this moment, Huo Yuhao's choice silenced both Tianmeng Iceworm and Ice Empress in the mental sea. They clearly knew that in Huo Yuhao's heart, Wang Donger's status far exceeded everything, even surpassing his own life, and even surpassing them. Good, then the transaction is established. A smile curled the corners of Nana's lips, and she took out an ice blue medicinal pill from her bosom. This medicinal pill was not round in shape but resembled a flawless, exquisitely delicate snowflake, radiating a soft and pure cold light of life throughout its body, as if ice and snow spirits were dancing upon it. This was precisely the first spirit ability of Dai Yuang's heavenly demon pill spirit, the Snow Maiden Sacred Heart Pill. The medicinal pill melted upon contact with his mouth, instantly releasing the purest cold energy of life. A layer of frost quickly condensed on the surface of Huo Yuhao's body, and his entire person was encased within transparent ice crystals. This was not ordinary freezing, but a protective freeze that perfectly locked his life force, which was on the verge of dissipating, at the final moment. Ice Empress exclaimed in the mental sea, "This cold energy. Such a familiar feeling. Why does it seem like I can feel Shui's power?" Ice Empress and Snow Empress had always been good friends. It was perfectly normal for them to be familiar with each other's power. Tianmeng Iceworm was also shocked. This is not a refined medicinal pill, it contains special spirit power fluctuations. Could this be the spirit ability of some food system spirit master? It's too miraculous, the world is vast, and there really are people beyond people. He had originally thought that the million-year spirit ability he gave Huo Yuhao was monstrous enough, but compared to this medicinal pill, it was simply worlds apart. Electrolux's aged voice carried rare admiration. This is a divine pill capable of bringing the dead back to life. Using ice and snow as materials and life as the mold, it reconstructs the damaged body from the cellular level. This spirit's analysis of life has reached an unbelievable level. Inside the ice block, Huo Yuhao's body was undergoing astonishing changes. The extreme cold energy acted like the most precise carving knife, repairing his damaged organs, reconnecting severed meridians, and purifying the chaotic extreme heat and extreme cold energies within his body. The origin of life of the ice and snow spirits flowed through every inch of his flesh, and wherever it passed, wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, the ice block began to melt. Huo Yuhao opened his eyes and looked at his hands in disbelief. Not only had all his injuries healed, but his spirit power had also recovered to its peak state, and it was even purer than before. My body is completely healed. Huo Yuhao stood up excitedly and bowed deeply to Nana. "Thank you, Senior, for saving me. It was just a transaction, no need for thanks." Nana's tone remained cold. "Just remember your promise." "Yes, Senior." Huo Yuhao nodded solemnly. He dared not stand up a titled Douluo who could produce such a mysterious and powerful medicinal pill. "Then, Senior, please choose your immortal herb here. This junior has urgent matters to attend to. So I will take my leave first." He dared not delay for even a moment, carefully put away the yearning heartbroken red, turned around, and left quickly. Saving Donger was a matter of extreme urgency. Every minute and every second was crucial. After Huo Yuhao's figure disappeared into the poisonous barrier, Dai Yuang emerged from his hiding spot. Nana immediately knelt on one knee and said respectfully, "Young lord, the transaction is complete, please proceed to harvest the immortal herb." Young lord. A titled Douluo actually acknowledges someone as their master. Fragrant silk immortal herb looked at the suddenly appearing Dai Yuang in surprise, its petals involuntarily curling up. "Human, who exactly are you?" Dai Yuang walked towards fragrant silk immortal herb, the original sin god seal on his forehead flashing and vanishing. Although it was only for an instant, that sacred and majestic aura made all the plant-type spirit beasts tremble. Fragrant silk immortal herb. Dai Yuang's voice was calm but carried unquestionable majesty. "Huo Yuhao has already transferred his rights to 7 immortal herbs entirely to my subordinate. My subordinate upholds my will, so that shouldn't be considered breaking the rules, right? Will you stop me?" Feeling the divine aura on Dai Yuang that was similar to Tang San's, fragrant silk immortal herb was greatly shocked. It never expected that this seemingly ordinary youth was actually a god's legacy holder, with an existence of the same level as Tang San standing behind him. I certainly won't stop you." Fragrant silk immortal herb's tone became respectful. "Huo Yuhao did indeed agree to transfer the rights himself, so it does not violate the rules. However, I must also remind you that some immortal herbs here have already reached a cultivation base of over 100,000 years. If you try to harvest them by force, it might provoke their resistance." Everyone is very strong, so you had best choose those immortal herbs that have not yet gained sentience. Dai Yuang's gaze swept across the entire ice and fire yin-yang well, and a confident smile curled his lips. Thank you for the reminder. I have my own discretion. His eyes flashed with wisdom as he began to carefully select the 7 immortal herbs. Each selection was meticulously calculated to maximize benefits while avoiding provoking collective resistance from those powerful immortal herbs. In this secret realm filled with treasures everywhere, Dai Yuang was like an experienced hunter, cautiously selecting his prey. Everything was within his calculations. From the moment Huo Yuhao stepped into the sunset forest, this outcome had already been determined. When the snipe and the clam fight, the fisherman catches them both, and Dai Yuang was that fisherman hiding behind the scenes, who avoided conflict with the 100,000-year immortal herbs while maximizing benefits and controlling everything. Now it was time for the harvest. Chapter 229, 7 Immortal Herbs, A Fruitful Harvest. Dai Yuang and Nana walked slowly into the central area of the ice and fire yin-yang well. The rich origin qi almost condensed into substance, wrapping around the two like a warm tide. The air was filled with various strange fragrances, each representing the unique aura emitted by different immortal herbs. The deeper they went, the more they could feel the magic of this place. Immortal herbs could be seen everywhere, emitting soft halos of light. Some flickered like stars, some were as bright as the full moon, and others were as dazzling as the scorching sun. Although Nana was already a titled Douluo, she was speechless at the sight before her. Any one of these immortal herbs, if leaked to the outside world, would be enough to cause a bloodbath in the Spirit Master's world. It is truly the greatest treasure land on the Douluo continent. Dai Yuang praised softly, his gaze sweeping across the entire area like lightning. After 10,000 years of nourishment, the quantity and quality of the immortal herbs here have exceeded my expectations. Just as he was sighing, several obscure yet powerful auras locked onto him. These auras carried clear vigilance and hostility, obviously the natural rejection from those 100,000-year immortal herbs that had already gained intelligence toward this human intruder. Dai Yuang's expression remained unchanged, but his spiritual sense was quietly operating, quickly locking onto the sources of the 5 most powerful auras. A plant completely red like burning flames, the blazing apricot, its leaves dancing with seemingly real flames, the surrounding air distorted by the high temperature. A graceful and luxurious tulip, the delicate tulip, its petals presenting a magnificent purple-gold color, emitting an intoxicating fragrance. A crystal-clear ice-blue grass leaf, the octagonal mysterious ice grass, every leaf carved like the most perfect ice crystal, emitting a bone-chilling coldness. A piece of ink jade-like bamboo, a dark jade divine bamboo, the bamboo joints distinct, the surface smooth as a mirror, with faint flowing light moving within. And a plant like a golden fruit, the earth dragon gold melon, the surface covered with dragon scale-like patterns, emitting a thick earth attribute aura. No wonder in the era of the legend of the Dragon King, they could all evolve into vicious beast levels. Dai Yuang realized internally, so they already have 100,000 years of cultivation now. Besides the 5 mentioned above, he didn't stand on ceremony and began to select the others. In the golden adamant evil warding body, the effects of some immortal herbs and the methods of picking and consuming them were recorded, which could assist in the cultivation of this technique. The first one he chose was the Star Luo Spirit Pearl. This immortal herb was like a condensed starry sky, with specks of starlight flowing on its surface, emitting soft and pure energy fluctuations. It was the mildest among the 100,000-year immortal herbs. Although it was extremely difficult to awaken its intelligence, after fusing with a human, it could turn into a spirit core in the future. If one wanted to condense double spirit cores before becoming a limit Douluo, this was a good choice. The second one, the Hunyuan immortal herb. This immortal herb looked unpretentious, gray-brown in color, but the medicinal power it contained was the strongest among all immortal herbs. It could greatly increase spirit power and help compress spirit power to form a spirit core. Although it could not cleanse the marrow or strengthen the physique, it was unparalleled in terms of purely increasing spirit power strength. The third one, the Qirong Tongtian chrysanthemum. This chrysanthemum was golden all over, its petals as thin as golden silk, emitting a neutral and peaceful aura. Consuming it could circulate qi through the limbs and blood through the 8 meridians. Besides enhancing spirit power, it could also help him cultivate the Vajra indestructible body, which complemented the golden adamant evil warding body. The fourth one, the 8-petal immortal orchid. This orchid had 8 petals, each presenting a different color, emitting a soft and mellow medicinal quality. It could consolidate the foundation and cultivate the origin, expelling impurities from the body. It had great benefits for any spirit master, especially suitable for food system spirit masters. The fifth one, the Narcissus jade muscle bone. This immortal herb was shaped like a narcissus, jade-like all over, with leaves like the most delicate skin. It could moisten tendons and nourish bones, clear the extraordinary meridians, significantly increase the speed of spirit power cultivation, and also had beauty-enhancing effects. It was more suitable for girls, though, of course, handsome boys could use it too. The sixth one, the 10,000-year 9th grade ginseng king. This ginseng had already transformed into a human shape, with distinct beard and hair, emitting a rich aura of life. Its core value lay in consolidating the foundation and cultivating the origin, reshaping the foundation, and being able to deeply nourish the life origin, making up for all innate deficiencies and acquired hidden injuries. No matter how unstable the foundation was or how weak the physique was, after consuming it, it could be thoroughly improved to reach a truly perfect foundation state, paving the way for future cultivation and greatly increasing potential. Even those with zero innate spirit power or those whose foundations had been destroyed could recover through this. After selecting the first 6, Dai Yuang fell into deep thought. Most of the most precious immortal herbs here had been selected by him. The rest were either already turned into 100,000-year spirit beasts or types like the coxcomb phoenix sunflower that were not of much help to him. Should he pick them and give them to Ma Xiaotao to resolve the evil fire? That would be too idle. His gaze involuntarily turned to the second yearning heartbroken red. Although this was the strongest immortal herb, with his heart nature of loving himself above all others, it was impossible for him to pick it. Just then, the Snow Empress's voice rang in his mind, "Yuang, is it okay to take that second yearning heartbroken red? I have a premonition that this thing will be useful to me in the future." Dai Yuang was slightly stunned, then a gentle smile appeared on his lips. "Fine, since you have asked, then I will naturally not refuse." Thus, he selected the 7th immortal herb, the yearning heartbroken red. This flower, representing undying love, became the key that might help the Snow Empress in the future in Dai Yuang's hands. After carefully picking and storing all the selected immortal herbs, Dai Yuang nodded to the fragrant silk immortal herb, "Farewell." The fragrant silk immortal herb's petals swayed gently. "I hope you use these immortal herbs well and do not waste their value." Dai Yuang did not answer, just smiled faintly, and turned to leave with Nana. They did not intend to consume the immortal herbs in this place full of 100,000-year spirit beasts. After all, these spirit beasts were not friendly to them. Before leaving, Dai Yuang paused at the edge of the ice and fire yin-yang well, his gaze as deep as an abyss, slowly casting toward the lake's surface intertwined with red and blue. Deep within the spring water, there seemed to be secrets hidden that were even more precious than all the immortal herbs combined. His gaze seemed to penetrate the rolling hot yang spring and the silent frigid yin spring, reaching the bottom of the lake that no one could reach. Nana stood quietly by his side, keenly perceiving the heavy aura emitted by the young lord. She looked in the direction of Dai Yuang's gaze, but only saw the boiling spring water and steaming mist, and couldn't help but ask softly, "Young lord, is there anything special at the bottom of this lake?" Dai Yuang's gaze remained locked on the center of the lake, his voice low and full of deep meaning. "The reason why this ice and fire yin-yang well can become one of the 3 great treasure basins is not just because its special environment can accelerate plant growth. The real reason is hidden deep at the bottom of this lake. The formation of the ice and fire yin-yang well is not as simple as natural creation. It is the bodies of 2 dragon clan powerhouses sinking into the ground, their dragon souls not dissipating, eventually forming this spectacle where ice and fire merge. One was a fire dragon controlling extreme fire, and one was an ice dragon controlling ultimate ice. Both were divine rank existences, and even at their peak, they possessed the strength of god kings. At the bottom of that lake, the remains and remnant souls of 2 super powerhouses are sleeping. Dai Yuang's voice was almost inaudible, but it made Nana tremble. Even after 10,000 years of time, their divinity has not completely dissipated. If one could obtain their dragon bones, their value would far exceed all the immortal herbs here. Nana gasped. The intuition of a titled Douluo allowed her to feel the terrifying pressure vaguely coming from the bottom of the lake. That was a power that transcended the mortal world, and even just the lingering aura made her feel awe. However, Dai Yuang's tone changed, a wise light flashing in his eyes. Now is not the time. Although the remnant souls of the two divine rank powerhouses are weak, they are not something we can contend with now. Rashly disturbing them would likely bring about a catastrophe. Only when I break through to titled Douluo, or at least complete the 7th test of the Sin God trial, will I be qualified to explore the secrets at the bottom of this lake. By then, perhaps I can use the power of the God trial to suppress the remnant souls of those two. A curve appeared on the corner of Dai Yuang's mouth. Besides, greed is not good, and today has already been a fruitful harvest. He finally took a deep look at the center of the lake. The red and blue intertwined spring water was no longer a simple spectacle in his eyes, but a treasure vault waiting to be opened, an ultimate secret that only he knew. Let's go. Dai Yuang turned around, his tone returning to calm. When the time is ripe, we will come again. Nana nodded respectfully and followed behind Dai Yuang. The two passed through the thick poisonous barrier and left this secret realm that contained infinite possibilities. And behind them, the ice and fire yin-yang well returned to its usual tranquility, as if no one had ever been there.